and your game show music and your whole show sucks. You know that? By the way, what time is it? It's Podblast time, dumbass.
Good evening. It's Podblast time. It's live on Sunday night. I'm missing the Braves playoff game against the Dodgers because I just got so behind time and I have so much to do this week. This was the only time I could do this, so I'd have programming for fistfulofradio.com. But I have a great show for you today. Anyone watching live in our Facebook group, The NOSTALGIC with a C, Podblast, will see a photo of someone you may recognize. That gentleman's name is Bill Tush, and he did a lot of Hollywood reporting. He was with CNN, and before that, WTCG, WTBS. And we have an interview that Al Hardy and I conducted with Bill Tush not too long ago that we're going to play. That has not been on our YouTube channel, so wanted to have that for you tonight, as well as some other pop culture news and some oddities, and got to get caught up on a lot of things going on in the pop culture news. How are you? Hope you're having an awesome week and had a great weekend. And I must say, go Braves. And that said, I'm a bit of a jinx, so I hate to, root on the Braves because I am, unfortunately, a bit of a jinx. But let's get started with the news because I've got to get out of here as soon as possible. And let me start with this. Johnny Gilbert.
This is Jeopardy!
Little Jeopardy update for you. The champion, Matt Amodio, was defeated by Jonathan Fisher this past week, a struggling actor contestant from Florida. So Matt Amodio fell short of winning $2 million as I hoped he would, but Matt Amodio did finish number 2 on the all-time consecutive wins list on Jeopardy, behind only Ken Jennings with 74 wins. Matt Amodio won a total of $1,518,601 bucks, $1,518,601, which puts him third on the all-time non-tournament regular Jeopardy cash winnings on the list, behind James Holzhauer, who earned $2,462,216, and Ken Jennings, who earned $2,520,700. Now, I have a question for you real quick as we move along. I'm going to make this as fast-paced as I can. And thanks for being here. There's a lot of other entertainment that you could be watching. But I do have a question for you guys and gals out there and the audience. And the question is, I'm talking to you. Do you speak jive?
The radio's all yours now. And keep an eye on that number 3 engine gauge over there. It's running a little hot.
Stryker, before we start, I'd like to say something. I know that right now things must look pretty rough up there. But if you do what I tell you, when I tell you to do it, there's no reason why you shouldn't have complete confidence in your chances to come out of this thing alive and in one piece. Stryker, what kind of weather are you in up there?
Rain.
And a little ice.
And a little ice.
How's it handling?
Sluggish. Like a wet sponge.
Sluggish. Like a wet sponge.
All right, Stryker. Doing just fine.
It's a damn good thing he doesn't know how much I hate his guts.
It's a damn good thing you don't know how much he hates your guts.
Julie Haggerty.
Can I get you something?
Some mofo butter laying into the bone, jacking me up. Tight me.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Cuddy say can't hang. Oh, stewardess, I speak jive.
Oh, good.
He said that he's in great pain and he wants to know if you can help him.
All right. Would you tell him to just relax and I'll be back as soon as I can with some medicine?
Just hang loose, blood. She's gonna catch up on the rebound on the med side.
What it is, Big Mama? My mama didn't raise no dummies. I duck her rap.
Cut me some slack, Jack. Chump don't want to help. Chump don't get the help.
Say can't hang, say 7 Up.
Jive ass dude don't got no brains anyhow.
Sis, give me Captain Over's life.
That's Barbara Billingsley.
Chief, this weather bulletin says stream off the wire.
Let's listen a little more. From Airplane, 1980.
Johnny, what can you make out of this?
This? Well, I can make a cap, or a brooch, a pterodactyl.
Just a classic movie. The Great Airplane. That's Barbara Billingsley, who most people know as June Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver. But did you know she says herself in an interview I'm going to play, and in another interview I'm not going to play, that little small role in the movie Airplane created more fame for her than Leave It to Beaver ever did. And here's Barbara Billingsley in her own words talking about working on Airplane. This is from the Archive of American Television.
Well, I was cast because I'd been June Cleaver. I'm sure that was the humor of the whole thing, that I talked jive. And I was sent the script, and I thought it was the craziest script I'd ever read. My husband said, I think it's funny. Well, my part wasn't written, really. It just said that I talked jive. So I went to see the producers, and I said I would do it. I met the two black fellas that taught me jive, and they're the ones that wrote the jive talk. And we went to lunch and we discussed this whole thing. Do you know there's even a book out about jive? And they haven't figured out. I was put in contact with a girl that worked at Paramount who knew all about jive. They've never figured out if it was the slave days that they didn't want Whitey to know what they were talking about, or whether it's street talk. She couldn't tell me. Anyway, I did research on that little part. But these fellows were wonderful, and they taught me. And then when I got to the set to do it, they could understand it. The director could understand it. He didn't want to understand it. So I had to redo it. And that made me a little nervous. Talk about relaxation. That made me a little nervous because I hadn't worked in a long time. But it all turned out fine, and they were great, these fellas. And they could rattle jive off like you have no idea. I could never get a clue as to how it was done. Like Pig Latin, you know, you can figure that one out. Couldn't figure out jive. It wasn't hard for me to learn. I don't know why. It wasn't hard. You know, hang in your blood, and blood don't want no help, blood don't get no help. It just wasn't hard. Maybe they were good teachers. I went to New York to be on the Today Show because of that role. All kinds of things happened for me because of that role. So, and there were people that talked to me as much about that as they ever did about Leave It to Beaver. I got fan mail. It's crazy. My nephew, great nephew, he's sitting in the movies and he sees me, and he suddenly screams out, "Aunt Barbara!" And he always tells that story. He didn't know I was in it, but no, it was remarkable. It started my whole career again.
The great Barbara Billingsley talking about working on Airplane. Now I've got a clip for you here. Now, tell me, what city do you think this is? This is a city on fire. Do you think this is Portland, Oregon, or Seattle, Washington? Listen to this.
Now, the biggest, the newest, the most exciting of all the Planet of the Apes pictures. Climaxed by the spectacular Revolt of the Apes. The most awesome, the most horrifying spectacle in the annals of science fiction. First pampered as pets, then abused as servants, now oppressed as slaves.
It's Dick Tufeld doing the voice narration, the robot on Lost in Space. These cities are about to catch fire.
And reserve defense units. See that every entrance into the city is cordoned off immediately. Yes, sir.
Are control methods to include the use of tear gas and sedation ducts?
There will be but one control method. Shoot to kill.
It's a riot!
This will be the end of human civilization, and the world will belong to a planet of apes!
Watch the screen explode as man faces ape in the ultimate revolution.
Supposed to be the year 1991.
There is fire, there is smoke.
Roddy McDowell.
In that smoke, from this day forward, my people will plot and plan for the inevitable day of man's downfall. And that day is upon you now!
Not good. That's just a really underrated Planet of the Apes movie, which now Disney owns because they absorbed, as I've talked about ad nauseum on the Nostalgic Podblast, the 20th Century Fox television and film library. By the way, thanks for hanging with me. I see that Wesley's out there, Wesley Millsap and Jay Raymer. How y'all doing? Thanks for checking in. Hope you have the Braves on in the background or whatever floats your boat. Item. Ham actor and pop culture legend William Shatner went into subspace recently at the age of 90, as most people know by now. And a friend of the Podblast, comedian Jim Gossett of newsmakerline.com, has this special report. And hopefully the bots won't get me for the music on this, but this is a pretty cool special report. Let's listen. From William Shatner.
Picture Bill Shatner on a Jeff Bezos spaceship. It was a thrill for a guy at my age. Bezos spends billions on space exploration, while Amazon workers make minimum wage. It was the thrill of Bill Shatner's life. It almost made me flip my wig. Thank you, Jeff Bezos, for screwing your workers for this. Shatner's into space at 90. Shatner's into space at 90. I went into space at 90. This is William Shatner, reminding you that now, space travelers can name their own price. Shop, compare, save.
What a great... I love it when he hits that high note. But this guy, he performs all over the country. I encourage you to go to newsmakerline.com. If you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area, in Norcross, Georgia, he has a show coming up on November 7th. It should be a hell of a lot of fun. I'm going. I know a lot of my friends are going, and I hope that you can get a ticket as well. So check it out, the Atlanta Comedy Theater. I think on their website is where you can get your ticket. But that's pretty funny there. Let's see some comments coming in. Yeah, Ward, you were a bit rough on the Beaver last night, Jay Raymer said. Getting back to June Cleaver. That's the old leave it to Beaver joke. That's funny. Let's see, moving on. And again, for those tuning in late, the reason I have a picture of Bill Tush is I'm going to have an interview with him in just a little bit here on the Podblast. And let's see, what is next on my list of stuff here? Oh, about William Shatner. There was a news story, and I think it's pretty cool that he went into space. You know, I've been joking around about his 911 call from 1999, the last couple Podblasts, but I'm going to cut him a break. But He did have a sassy response to his Star Trek former co-star George Takei, Sulu, oh my, who mocked the 90-year-old actor's body shape amid his historic flight to space this week. Now, that's really not cool. I mean, the man is 90 years old. You know, I've got to defend William Shatner on that. Taking to Twitter on Friday night, Shatner accused Takei of only becoming relevant when he name checks him, meaning William Shatner. Don't hate George. The only time he gets press is when he talks bad about me. Shatner's tweet reads. It continues. He claims 50 plus years ago I took away a camera angle that denied him 30 more seconds of primetime TV. I'm giving it back to him now by letting him spew his hatred for the world to see. The latest development took place this week when George Takei, Sulu, mocked Shatner's fitness amid his flight on Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin. Snarked Takei. He's boldly going where other people have gone before. George Takei, who's 84 years old, told Page 6 when asked about Shatner making history as the oldest person ever to go to space. Now, he didn't go fully into space. We know that. But I still got to give him credit. You know, close enough, right, to outer space. He's a guinea pig, 90 years old, and it's important to find out what happens, Takei added, while at the opening of Thoughts of a Colored Man on Wednesday night. So 90 years old is going to show a great deal more on the wear and tear on the human body. So he'll be a good specimen to study. Although he's not the fittest specimen of a 90-year-old man. So he'll be a specimen that's unfit. George Takei said in that interview. The actors of the original Star Trek have famously feuded for years in the public arena. Takei has accused Shatner of ignoring him on set, as well as changing up the script for the movie Star Trek V, which William Shatner directed so that George Takei's character would not receive command of a spaceship. It's called a starship, whoever wrote this article in Star Trek land. Not a spaceship, it's a starship. Shatner has taken shots at Takei, too. Once claimed there's nothing Takei is... All right, Shatner has taken shots at George Takei as well. He once claimed there's something Takei in him festering, and it makes him unhappy that he takes it out on me. He called George Takei's public lambasting of him sad. The 90-year-old actor joined Blue Origin Vice President of New Shepard Mission and Flight Operations Audrey Powers, as well as Dr. Chris and Glenn DeVries as they blasted off on the aerospace company's latest suborbital spaceflight on Wednesday. Now, many of William Shatner's former Star Trek co-stars have written about what a dick he is, including James Doohan, who's no longer with us, who played Scotty. That's all I can give you, Captain! Nichelle Nichols, who played Uhura, which means freedom in Swahili, her character name, and of course, George Takei. Now, are they and were they jealous, or is there something to their claims? I'm not about to say that Shatner lived up to his Michael Myers mask. Did you know that? The Halloween mask in the Michael Myers slasher movies, Halloween, Halloween 2, etc., is a Captain Kirk, William Shatner likeness mask. So I'm not saying that Shatner lived up to his Michael Myers mask in 1999 when his third wife, an accomplished swimmer, drowned to death, but he's certainly no hero. Now, moving on in another story, talking about the baseball playoffs, I overheard this in the National League divisional playoffs last week out west at Dodger Stadium when the Dodgers were playing the San Francisco Giants. And I heard this classic theme by Jerry Goldsmith over the PA. Let me see if this clip will play for you here. Yes, I think this is it right here. I hope MLB doesn't get me for this. You got to listen closely. Listen closely to the music in the background. The organ player's playing.
Chris Taylor on deck.
Well, that was during a 2-ball and 2-strike call. My bad. Live radio, live pod blasting. That was overheard. That was the Room 222 theme from the old TV show. I thought that was kind of obscure and kind of cool. And they may do that a lot. I've not been to many Dodgers games in my life. That may be a reoccurring thing, but I heard it on television, on TBS watching the playoffs, and I thought that was kind of cool to catch that. And that was for the 2 balls and 2 strikes call. So I guess, room 222. I don't know. I guess that's why they played it. Now it's time for our weekly segment. Let me get this going here. Yes. It's time for the biography section of the Pod Blast. Obviously, it's birthdays. The Nostalgic Podblast has become the birthday show. But there's been so many notable birthdays in pop culture land to cover. And I don't want to just do an injustice to these people, because they're all... I picked the best of the best, in my estimation, that deserve to be highlighted. So let's get started. And I'm going to start with this. You'll recognize this classic theme song. And this is someone who is no longer with us. Let me see if I can find it. God, I am all mixed up tonight. Here we go. Wait for it. Wait for it. Jesus. Here we go. Penny Marshall. Her heavenly birthday just happened back on October 15th. And of course, she was Laverne in Laverne and Shirley. I love that Paramount logo. Now, and she, of course, became a director, and she was married to Rob Reiner, who I didn't care for that much. But I love his acting, and I love All in the Family, of course. But Penny Marshall was born Friday, October 15th, 1943, in the Bronx, New York. Penny Marshall made her directorial debut with the movie Jumpin' Jack Flash in 1986, before directing the movie Big, starring Tom Hanks, which became the first film directed by a woman to gross more than $100 million at the U.S. box office. Her subsequent directing credits included Awakenings in 1990, which was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture, A League of Their Own in 1992, also with Tom Hanks and Madonna and Rosie O'Donnell and some others in the cast, Renaissance Man in 1994, The Preacher's Wife in 1996, and Riding in Cars with Boys in 2001. She also produced Cinderella Man in 2005 and the awful Bewitched movie in 2005, with Will Ferrell and what's her face as Samantha. Oh man, the Australian actress Nicole Kidman. And Penny Marshall directed episodes of the TV series According to Jim and United States of Terra. While at college, Penny Marshall met Michael Henry, a football player, and she left to marry him back in 1963. She was age 20. And they had one daughter together named Tracy in 1964. Now named Tracy Reiner. That marriage lasted 3 years. On April 10th, 1971, Penny Marshall married actor-director Rob Reiner, the future meathead on All in the Family, who later adopted Tracy. Her marriage to Rob Reiner ended in 1981, over 40 years ago. The couple had 5 grandchildren together. Penny Marshall had a brief relationship with singer Art Garfunkel in the mid-1980s, and he credits her with helping him through his depression. In 2010, it was reported that Penny Marshall had been diagnosed with lung cancer that had gone to her brain, but 2 years later, she was, quote, fine now, unquote. And following her recovery, she published a memoir, My Mother Was Nuts. That's the title. Sadly, Penny Marshall died Monday, December 17th, 2018, at the age of 75 of cardiopulmonary failure and type 1 diabetes complications. Got a clip I want to play. This is from way back on February 1st, 1984, which is the 2-year anniversary of Late Night with David Letterman on NBC. And this is an interview with Penny Marshall by Dave Letterman. I thought I had it queued up. Yeah, I got it right here for you. Let's listen to a little bit. I don't like her voice that much, but she really was a significant entertainer, director. Let's listen.
Thank you very much, Paul. Welcome back to the show. My first guest tonight. By the way, can we keep the wind machine? Can we have it on standby? Bust open some pillows one of these nights and just... Well, maybe tonight. Maybe a little later we could use the machine. After all, Peggy is here from Philadelphia. All right. Most of you will remember my first guest as Laverne DeFazio on the long-running show Laverne and Shirley. How long was that on, Paul?
It was on for years. It was on for 8 years.
That's right. 8 years?
8 seasons.
76 to 83, right?
Unbelievable run.
Very few people realize that this same woman originated the role of Tina, the Indian girl, in the motion picture The Savage 7. She will be guest starring on NBC's new show this Friday night. Please welcome Penny Marshall. How are you?
Okay.
You feel all right?
Oh, how are you?
I'm fine. I feel pretty good.
Good.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. I was just upstairs, so.
Oh, as if you weren't upstairs, you wouldn't come to see us?
Not a chance.
Oh. Now, let me ask you, Penny, about Tina, the Indian girl. Do you remember this?
Yes, I was in the Savage 7, and I played an Indian.
And what else do you remember about the motion picture?
It was a movie about Indians and a motorcycle gang. And I was an Indian with a Bronx accent. It was very realistic.
Yeah. All right. How
One
long
of the
ago?
highlights of my career.
How long? This was in the very beginning of your acting?
Yeah, around 1968.
This is a Roger Corman film?
No, it was a Dick Rush film, and...
What else did Dick go on to produce?
Oh, Dick? No, Dick went on to direct The Stuntman.
Oh, yeah, that's a terrific film.
I think it took 10 years before he could direct The Stuntman after The Savage 7.
Now, you're originally from the Bronx here in the...
Yeah.
Now,
Bless you.
is this the time and place that the Marshallettes came into show business history?
Yes, they did. My mother was a dancing school teacher in the basement of the building I lived in the Bronx.
What kind of dancing?
Precision tap dancing.
Not just regular tap dancing,
No,
but
precision.
Precision tap dancing.
Like the Rockettes at
Oh,
Radio
I see.
City
Sure.
Music. We were called the Junior Rockettes, but when we appeared on the Ted Mack Amateur Hour, RCA owned the Rockettes, so we became the Marshallettes.
Mm-hmm. And how did you do on the Ted Mack Amateur
We were
Hour?
3-time winners, yeah.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
And who did you defeat each time?
The Barrett Piper dancers. And
Geez, I know they went on to appear
they went on to big things.
They were in Dick Rush films and stuff, I think.
And honestly, they needed an opening act for their final award show that Pat Boone hosted. So we were like a big dance number, and we'd end with kicks and then go like that. We didn't have a prayer at winning.
But this is a big deal for a kid. You must have been just a little tiny girl, huh?
11.
Now, what kind of a thrill was that for an 11-year-old girl suddenly to be on national television and Pat Boone and all of that?
We didn't get paid, but we did get out of going to school.
Well, there you go. That's all that's important.
Yeah, and we were also on the Jackie Gleason show with the June Taylor dance.
And, here in New York or in
New York.
Florida? And did you meet Jackie Gleason?
No.
Yeah.
Gogi Grant, I think we met.
Yeah. Did you talk to Ted Mack on the contest?
No.
Yeah.
We didn't talk to anyone.
Well, that's all right. Those were the early days, though.
Yeah, you didn't have to talk to someone like you. You just came and they did it and you went home.
Okay. And now you mentioned you were upstairs. Tell the folks what you're doing upstairs.
I'm doing the news show. That will be on this Friday night.
Yeah, and what kind of things are you doing on that?
Well, we were going to juggle oranges and do some string stuff, but I guess I better tell them not to do that.
No, they shouldn't.
Right, yeah, it's up for grabs. See, we were going to do a thing on Scarface, but it seems that standards in practice. Do you have any problems with that?
Not many problems, but these are the people that tell you for...
Whether you can
the
do
censors.
things or not.
Yeah.
And since it is a prime-time show, we still don't know whether we can do it or not.
But you only have a few days. You're taping it tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So when will you know what's going to be on the show?
Tomorrow.
That's cutting it a little close, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. You're break dancing up there?
Yeah, what a dumb thing.
So overall, you're pretty
That's
excited
nostalgia,
about
break
this.
dancing,
I am
electric
very excited
boogaloo.
about the show, but can any of you break dance?
I know Bill Wendell is a
That's the announcer, Bill Wendell. He was the announcer, the original announcer to Late Night with David Letterman.
It's very hard. I mean, it sounded like a good idea. Yeah. And then when you try to do it, it hurts like a... It really hurts.
You actually get down on your back and on your shoulders and your
spin on
head.
your head. I'm far
Could you
too old
spin on your head
this.
for us tonight? Look, I did the mime thing. The least you can do is spin on your head.
There's not enough room here, dear.
This poor woman. I tell you what, we'll talk it over and we'll go away for a commercial and we'll come right back. She doesn't have to.
All right. I'm running out of time, so I've got to move on with just one other. This is a very brief clip pertaining to Penny Marshall, and this is Cindy Williams, her co-star, and David Landers, who passed away not too long ago, played Squiggy on Laverne and Shirley, remembering Penny Marshall.
They were one of the great comic duos in TV history. Now, Cindy Williams is mourning her friend Penny Marshall. Jump! Cindy played Shirley opposite Penny's Laverne. Their show was a huge hit when it debuted in 1976. It's now considered a sitcom classic. What an extraordinary loss, Cindy says. My good friend Penny Marshall is gone. 1 in a million. Oh, what fun we had.
But it could get operatic in temperament at times.
When we spoke to Cindy, she spoke about their time together, which wasn't always smooth. There were days of major tension on the set.
You really think that this is going to work? I'm trying, ain't I?
She would become impatient with me at times because it would take me so long to learn something, and I would be upset with her because she had it down right away.
Cindy left the show in 1982 after 6 years.
She was not happy about it, certainly, but she just, she just soldiered on with the show, and it became Laverne and Company.
But the magic that made them TV legends was gone.
Of course I heard it. I got 3 ears, don't I?
The show was canceled at the end of the season. The estrangement lasted several years before they made up.
She's like, one of my best friends. She's family.
And there is no reason on earth why Prince Charming cannot walk through our front door. Hello.
Also in mourning is David Lander, who played the goofy character Squiggy on the show.
She'd make me laugh, she'd make me think, she'd make me mad.
Lander, who suffers from multiple sclerosis, says he last saw Penny 2 years ago at the funeral for her brother, Gary Marshall, the executive producer of Laverne and Shirley.
There was a certain Marshall kind of charm or whatever it was that I think both Penny and Gary had.
Lander says Penny Marshall will be missed.
Thanks to Inside Edition for that report. Now, as you heard, that was David Lander, who played Squiggy on Laverne and Shirley, and he died Friday, December 4th, 2020, from complications from MS, multiple sclerosis, at 73 years of age. He was born in Brooklyn, New York. So, moving on, also from the Bronx, and born in the Bronx, Tanya Roberts. She was born October 15th, 1955. Now, was she dead? Was she not dead? Do you remember earlier in 2021? I'm not trying to be morbid, and I'm certainly not making light of this, but there were reports she passed away, and then a rep says, no, she's still alive. And then a couple days later, nope, she is deceased. Pretty sad. Tanya Roberts was born Victoria Lee Bloom in 1955 in the Bronx, New York City, to Oscar Bloom and his wife, Dorothy. Oscar Maximilian Bloom, what a name. Oscar Maximilian Bloom. He lived from 1912 to 1971, was born in New York City. And Oscar's father, which would be her grandfather, Theodore Bloom, who lived from 1883 to 1962, has been called the most outstanding oral surgeon in America for his pioneering work in local anesthesia and the use of x-rays in dental care. Speaking of that, I always choose not to get x-rays when I go to the dentist, and here's why. Think about it. They put this lead covering all over the cavities of your body to protect your organs, right? But they're not protecting where it's zapping your head, where your brain is. And there is something called brain cancer. Call me paranoid. I don't microwave my food either. I've never trusted x-rays. Like maybe every 6 years I'll do it just because I want to have the best dental care for my teeth. But man, does it make sense for there to be lead shielding for your organs, but not for the most important organ in your body, your brain, where the damn rays are hitting? It doesn't make sense to me. Man, I don't know, man. Somebody out there, not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, might want to keep cancer going, man. I don't know. It's kind of creepy. But getting back to Tanya Roberts. Tanya Roberts began her career as a model in television in ads for Excedrin, Ultra Bright toothpaste, Clairol, and Cool Ray sunglasses. Tanya Roberts played serious roles in the off-Broadway productions of Picnic, and she also supported herself as an Arthur Murray dance instructor. Her film debut was in The Last Victim in 1975. This was followed by the comedy The Yum Yum Girls in 1976. In 1977, as her husband was securing his own screenwriting career, the couple moved to Hollywood. There, Tanya Roberts was cast in The Private Files of J. Edgar Hoover in 1977, and the following year participated in the drama Fingers. In 1979, Tanya Roberts appeared in the cult movie Tourist Trap and California Dreaming. Tanya Roberts was featured in several television pilots which were not picked up. One was called Zuma Beach, a 1978 comedy. Okay, that was a movie. And Pleasure Cove in 1979 and Waikiki, as in Hawaii, in 1980. In the summer of 1980, Tanya Roberts was chosen from some 2,000 candidates to replace Shelley Hack in the 5th season of the detective television series Charlie's Angels. Tanya Roberts played Julie Rogers, a streetwise fighter who used her fists more than her gun to fight crime. Producers hoped Tanya Roberts' presence would revitalize the series' declining ratings and regenerate media interest in the series. Before the season's premiere, Roberts was featured on the cover of People magazine with a headline asking if Tanya Roberts would be able to save the declining series from cancellation. Despite the hype of Tanya Roberts' debut in November 1980, Charlie's Angels continually drew dismal ratings and was canceled in June 1981, well over 40 years ago. And some of her movies, she had some B-list movies like The Beastmaster, but here was an A-list movie she did, A View to a Kill, which was the final Roger Moore 007 movie. In terms of her death, it was determined that Tanya Roberts had developed a urinary tract infection that had advanced to sepsis. Her illness was complicated by her history of hepatitis C. Yikes. The body's immune system response to her infection resulted in multi-organ failure. She had to be placed on a ventilator to help her with her work of breathing. Her partner, Lance O'Brien, was not even allowed to see her due to the COVID-19 pandemic restrictions. Her condition deteriorated, and on January 3rd, 2021, she was taken off life support, sadly. Tanya Roberts, dead at 65 years of age on Monday, January 4th, 2021. Pioneer Lee Iacocca was born in Allentown, Pennsylvania on Wednesday, October 15th, 1924. Lee Iacocca joined the Ford Motor Company in August 1946 after a brief stint in engineering. He asked to be moved to the sales and marketing team where his career really flourished. While working in the Philadelphia district as assistant sales manager, Lee Iacocca gained national recognition with his 56 for 56 campaign, offering loans on a 1956 model car with a 20% down payment and $56 in monthly payments for 3 years. His campaign went national, and Iacocca was called to the Dearborn headquarters, where he quickly moved up through the ranks. On November 10th, 1960, Lee Iacocca was named vice president and general manager of the Ford division. Wow, that's huge. In January 1965, Ford's vice president, car and truck group, and in 1967, executive vice president and president of the company on December 10th, 1970. American automobile executive, best known for the development of the Ford Mustang and the ill-fated Ford Pinto while at the Ford Motor Company in the 1960s. He also is credited for revitalizing the Chrysler Corporation as its CEO during the 1980s. He was president and CEO of Chrysler from 1978 and the chairman from 1979 until his retirement at the end of 1992. Lee Iacocca was one of the few executives to preside over operations of two of the big three automakers. Now, I got a clip of him taking on the press. I love this clip, and it's not very long. Right here. There we go.
On the question of selling cars in Japan.
Damn, it's in mono.
The
Didn't know that.
Germans now are almost selling as many cars percent share of the market in Japan as they have in this country. BMW and Mercedes, in fact, are ahead. Why is it you think that you guys have such a...
Well, here's a misconception. First of all, let's get the facts straight. There are two boutique cars over there that are bought for snob appeal, and they're called two German cars, Mercedes and BMW. But in total, you leave those two out. You say, why have you done such a great job? They're high-priced boutique cars for rich people, and there happen to be a lot of rich Japanese. But that's 1.5% of the market we got over there. We are trying, Honda's agreed, to try to sell 5,000 for us. I said it must be a typo. I thought you guys were going to sell 50,000 Cherokees. They know what a Cherokee is. They saw a lot of Jeeps in World War II and the like, so they know what the hell they are. They're familiar with it. And they know they're good units. But the truth of the matter is, this car is 25 grand here loaded. When it goes to Japan and gets its board right, it goes to $50,000. So we got some problems there. But you know what the biggest single problem is? The point I made. No dealer wants to sell them. There's a compact, here it's antitrust, we couldn't do this. Nobody will sell American cars. They say, build your own dealer network. How? How? I mean, 20 bucks a square foot land or 40 is one thing, but $6,000 a square foot. A small dealership in Tokyo we had planned is $23 million for the land. How do I get the volume? How do I do this? So what we really need is reciprocity in the distribution system. The Bush administration calls that SII, Structural Impediments Initiative. It sounds fancy and it gets confusing. What it means is open up your goddamn market.
Ooh.
The way we've opened up ours. There's no fairness discussed in the press, with anybody, and certainly in our government. So right-hand drive, they don't want right-hand drive right now. The volumes are so small, the Japanese guy wants a snobbery of left-hand drive. When we get some volume, we'll do right-hand drive. So we have got to open up their distribution system, and saying we don't have any products that they want, I mean, Germany's a tough market. Europe's a tough market. They've taken 50,000 from zero minivans and Jeeps. Why is it? Are they all nuts over there? When the currency changed, we sold 4,000 in Korea from zero. We sold 5,000 in Taiwan from zero. We sold 50,000 in Europe from zero. And guess what? Zero in Japan. Wow. You go find out. But today, our message is simple. We've got some important product advantages over the competition, both foreign and domestic, and we're trumpeting them. This today is not a laser and light show. This is strictly a product and engineering show. And maybe you'll be bored by it, I don't know. Now, if Americans don't know about the quality of Chrysler cars and trucks these days, that's our fault. We spend $50 million a month in your newspapers and magazines advertising, so we might not get the message across. I had 5 people in last month who were Honda owners. I did some tapes with them. Of the 5, not one had an experience with an American car post-1984. Unfortunately, on the Chrysler side, they had no experience since 1972. A guy told me about his Dart in 72, whatever that was. It's not that they didn't like us. They just didn't know us. They didn't know what we've done in the last 6 years. It's our fault. Our products are a big secret to them. That's our fault. Like a lot of import-addicted Californians. That's our fault that we didn't get the message out here. So I'm here today to tell you briefly about our product advantages. I'm here to talk facts and facts only. And then I can only ask this of you. You'd do me a favor, I hope. Check out what I say and go take a look for yourselves and make up your own minds. Go look at Consumer Reports. I said, what's happened since I started the tour? Oh,
great
my God,
magazine.
this is a dynamic market. Everything's
And website.
happening. Consumer Reports came out while I was out on the tour, the stump.
They're a Bible in this country with their annual car recommendations.
Mhm.
They have not been big cheerleaders for American cars over the past years. But of the 59 cars on this year's recommended list, 15, get that, 15 are from little old Chrysler. That's better than 25% of the whole damn list. Unbelievable, right? Got to be rigged someplace. No, I don't think so. Consumer Reports is very independent. Go out and ask the people who own them, drive them. Then go take a look at insurance costs. That's important in California. My God, they're about twice the rates in Michigan. You should really do something about that. We're as good or better than the Japanese across the board on insurance costs. Go look at maintenance costs. We're as good or better. Try gas mileage. Did you know the average fuel economy of the big three, Ford, GM, and Chrysler combined, has gone up 4% in the last 5 years? Japanese have now dropped a little over 1.5%. And you really got to take a look at the sticker guys and gals. You really got to do this, because I am getting crappy tired of editorials saying we raised prices when the currency's changed. Those writers, whoever they are, writing, some of your editors maybe, they've got to be living on Mars for the last 5 years, because the Japanese, and this is a fact, on average, are up 37% since 1986 on price. GM's up 20, Ford's up 16, and Chrysler's up 8. We're up a minuscule 1.6% a year for the last 5 years, and some of you are writing that we are gouging the American public. Geez, give me a break, will you? Start digging out the facts. Those are the facts. You do not occupy a quarter of Consumer Reports' recommended list, not competing against 40 other car companies, if you don't have some substantial competitive advantages. And we do, and we'd just like to show you them today.
Hell of a businessman. I know that was a bit of a long clip. Sorry about the mono quality, but it's important what he says. That's more important than audio quality. And I know you could hear his words. Lee Iacocca, he was a business leader, and he died Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019, at the age of 94. And he lived a nice, full, meaningful life. Rest in peace. Mario Puzo was born Friday, October 15th, 1920, in New York, New York. Does that name mean anything to you? I know a lot of people out there recognize that name. He served this country of the United States of America in the U.S. Army in Germany in World War II, and later graduated from the City College of New York. Mario Puzo married a German woman, Erika, with whom he had 5 children. When Erika died of breast cancer at the age of 58 in 1978, her nurse, Carol Gino, became Puzo's companion. In 1950, Mario Puzo's first short story, titled The Last Christmas, was published in American Vanguard. After the war, he wrote his first book, titled The Dark Arena, which was published in 1955. In 1960, Bruce J. Friedman hired Mario Puzo as assistant editor of a group of men's pulp magazines with such titles as Male, Men. Those are 2 different magazines, Male and Men. I don't think it's Playgirl. This is a long time ago. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Under the pen name Mario Clery, C-L-E-R-I, Mario Puzo wrote World War II adventure features for the magazine True Action. In 1969, Mario Puzo's most well-known work, The Godfather, was published. That's where I was leading with this. I know a lot of you recognize Mario Puzo as the guy who penned The Godfather. Mario Puzo stated this story came from research into organized crime, not from personal experience, and he was looking to write something that would appeal to the masses, unlike this show, the Nostalgic Podblast. The Godfather remained on the New York Times bestseller list for 67 weeks and sold over 9 million copies in 2 years. The book was later developed into a film, obviously, The Godfather in 1972, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. The film received 3 awards of the 11 Oscar category nominations, including Puzo's Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. Francis Ford Coppola and Mario Puzo then collaborated on sequels to the original film, The Godfather. They worked on The Godfather Part 2 in 1974 and The Godfather Part 3 in 1990. Backing up a bit here in his bio, in mid-1972, Mario Puzo wrote the first draft of the script for the 1974 disaster film Earthquake by Irwin Allen, who I talk about on the Podblast a lot. the master of disaster films like The Towering Inferno and The Poseidon Adventure. Anyway, Mario Puzo wrote the first draft script of Earthquake, but he was unable to continue working on it because of his commitment to The Godfather Part 2. Work continued on the script, with writer George Fox taking the helm with the final draft completed by director Mark Robson. Mario Puzo retained screen credit in the completed film and featured heavily in the advertising because of his name recognition for The Godfather and the critical acclaim it was receiving at the time. Mario Puzo also wrote the original screenplay for Richard Donner's Superman the movie, which then also included the plot for Superman 2, as they were originally written as one film that they had to split in two because it just ran a little long there. Mario Puzo also collaborated on the stories for the 1982 film A Time to Die and the 1984 Francis Ford Coppola film The Cotton Club. Mario Puzo, like I said, he wrote the Warner Brothers smash hit flick Superman the Movie and Superman 2, which were filmed simultaneously for the most part in 1977 in England, New York City, and around the globe, including Canada and other parts of the world. Really, the good parts of Superman and Superman 2 were written by Mario Puzo. The movie credits read, written by Mario Puzo and David and Leslie Newman from a story by Mario Puzo. Mario Puzo died of heart failure at the age of 78 on Friday, July 2nd, 1999. Mario Puzo was born on a Friday and died on a Friday. I like that. Next up in our list of birthdays, this is also from going back to October 15th. You'll recognize this TV show theme. It was sung by this actress who starred in this sitcom. You've probably seen this on social media. You probably know who I'm talking about. But I'm going to play this corny theme. I kind of like it. I got to admit. Here we go.
Early to rise, early to bed. And in between I cooked and cleaned and went out of my head. Going through life with blinders on, it's tough to see. I had to get up, get out from under and look for me. There's a new girl in town and she's looking good. There's a fresh, freckled face in the neighborhood. There's a new girl in town with a brand new style. She was just passing through, but if things work out, she's gonna stay a while. Bum, 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 bum.
Alice, remember that show based on a movie? We'll talk about that in a second. That's Linda Lavin.
Early to rise.
Linda Lavin was born Friday, October 15th, 1937 in Portland, Maine, state of Maine. The state that looks like a chicken head on the map of the country, upper right corner of the map of the USA. And of course, she's best known for playing the title character in this sitcom, Alice, and for her stage performances both on and off Broadway. The sitcom Alice that Linda Lavin starred in was based on the theatrical movie titled Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, which was a 1974 American comedy drama directed by, get this, Martin Scorsese. And it was written by Robert Getchell. It starred Ellen Burstyn as Alice, a widow who travels with her preteen son across the southwestern United States in search of a better life. Chris Christopherson, Billy Greenbush, that's an actor whose twin daughters were in Little House on the Prairie as the littlest child, the littlest daughter, when it first started. What was that kid's name? I know it's in the back of my head. Someone out there in comments, please. Carol Ann? No, I'm thinking of Poltergeist. Damn, I know it. Anyway, Billy Greenbush's daughters, which were twins, they wanted twins to... What was that little kid's name? Let me look it up. Let's just listen to the Alice theme. I know it. I know that show like the back of my head. Let me see here. Little House on the Prairie. What was that kid's name? She couldn't act. I hate to say it, but she was a child actor. Little House on the Prairie. What was that little kid's name? Let me just look up Greenbush. Greenbush, what a name, Greenbush. What was that character name? Lindsay Greenbush was one of the twins. Carrie Ingalls. Thank you, Carrie Ingalls. So anyway, Billy Greenbush was in the movie Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. And it also had Diane Ladd, who played the original Kiss My Grits Flo. And also had Valerie Curtin in it. Vic Tayback was in the cast, a little Jodie Foster. Harvey Keitel was also featured in a supporting role. Now, the original kid who played Tommy, his name was Alfred Lutter, Lutter, Alfred Lutter. And again, he was the original Tommy in the movie, and he was also in the pilot of the sitcom, the TV version of Alice, but he was replaced by Philip McKeon, who was the older brother of Nancy McKeon, best known as playing Jo, the street-smart pretty girl in The Facts of Life. And here's why Philip McKeon replaced the movie version of Tommy, played by Alfred Lutter. Linda Lavin, who of course played Alice, first saw Philip McKeon at a Broadway performance of Medea and Jason in 1974. It has nothing to do with Tyler Perry. It's called Medea and Jason. And she thought he was bright and talented and recommended him for the part of Tommy on Alice the TV show. But they did shoot a pilot with the original Tommy from the movie. And I think it's on the DVD set and it's on YouTube. And you can see like the original opening credits from the pilot with that kid, Alfred Lutter, playing Tommy. Now, sadly, Philip McKeon died on Tuesday, December 19th, 2019, at the age of 55, after battling a quote-unquote long illness. Now, back to Linda Lavin. After acting as a child, I'm going to play a funny clip from SCTV in a minute of a parody of Linda Lavin. But after acting as a child, Linda Lavin joined the Compass Players in the late 1950s. She began acting on Broadway in the 1960s, earning notice in It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman in 1966. And she received her first Tony Award nomination for the play The Last of the Red Hot Lovers in 1970. Linda Lavin moved to Hollywood from New York in 1973 and began to work on television, making reoccurring appearances on the sitcom Barney Miller as one of the detectives before landing the title role on the hit comedy Alice, which ran from 1976 to 1985. She appeared in many telefilms, and later she appeared in other TV works. Linda Lavin has also played roles in several feature films. In 1987, she returned to Broadway, starring in Broadway Bound, and she won a Tony Award for that production. She also was the star of Gypsy in 1990, The Sisters Rosenzweig in 1993, The Diary of Anne Frank in 1997 to 1998, and The Tale of the Algerist Wife from 2000 to 2001, among others. In 2010, Linda Lavin appeared as Ruth Steiner in Collected Stories, garnering her a 5th Tony nomination. And she starred in NBC short-lived sitcom Shawn Saves the World as Lorna and the CBS sitcom 9JKL. She currently has a reoccurring role on the CBS sitcom titled B Positive, like letter B positive. Linda Lavin made numerous television guest appearances, including roles on The Muppet Show in 1979, Law and Order: Criminal Intent, The OC on Fox, Touched by an Angel in 1999, and HBO's The Sopranos in 2002. And her mom, Lucille Lavin, was an opera singer, and her dad was a businessman. That's where I guess she gets her talent to sing. Here's a quick clip from 1980, January 23rd, 1980, of Linda Lavin promoting the $5.20 an hour dream. And this is on the daytime David Letterman show. Let's see, let me find that here. I don't think this is too long, but I think it's interesting. Here's Linda Lavin with David Letterman. I think this is the only time he interviewed her, too. This is before his late night show.
Coming up, when is it? Saturday at 9. Please.
Damn, it's in mono again. When I pre-screen these clips on my computer, it doesn't sound like it's in mono, so sorry about that. I'll just play a little bit of this. I don't want to be too long with it. And yes, Jay Raymer, you could say I have a hot date. That's why I'm in a hurry tonight.
This is not.
That is true. This is
Plus, I want to watch the game.
It is, Matt. What would that be? That's crushed something, isn't it?
It's just plain old velvet.
Is not crushed velvet?
Not crushed velvet?
Crushed. Is that not a term? Crushed?
No, crushed is when it looks like that.
Oh yeah.
No,
That's wadded up and wrinkly.
It's a plain velvet. This is boring.
No, I'm fascinated in this. I'm looking at a little outfit myself like that, and I never know whether to get the plain velvet or the crushed velvet.
Crushed will have a sort of a molded look to it.
Moldy.
You know what this is? This is David Letterman filling in for Johnny Carson. Forgive me, it's not his daytime show at all.
Slept in it, yeah, and then with chili stains and so forth.
Correction corner.
Anyway.
It's on. The network with the. I noticed that's always deleted, and it amazes me that we're as if pretending that there are no other networks on this network.
And you know when you're watching this back tonight,
and it will say beep, beep.
You'll notice that it's been deleted again.
But I could sign that much.
Yeah, you could.
I don't know how to make a B yet.
What do you mean you don't know how to make a B
to
yet?
Sign.
Oh, to sign. You mean like sign language. What does a C look like? Well, now, wait a minute. If we're going to do this, let's start with an N. Can you do an N? Let me try that.
A rabbit?
And a puppy?
Can you do an N? What?
No, I can't do an N. I just got here.
Why were you... Oh.
I mean, now what is this?
That is a V upside down.
Now, well, how did you do the N, though? You added one what?
I added one. But that's not how you
that's
do it. I'm
silly.
sure
You
that's not... You
All right. Since this is a mono, I'm going to move on and play a pretty funny parody from SCTV, which I like better than Saturday Night Live. They were just so good at doing parodies and all that talented cast. Here's Andrea Martin in a parody of Linda Lavin. This is during Sweeps Week.
Dick, they're ready to rehearse their song.
Here comes Ed Grimley, played by Martin Short, into a studio.
How can I cover that number? Well, does anybody
Eugene
have
Levy.
suggestions? How am I supposed to shoot this number? Why would you pick a number like this that's been singing a show like this? Well, I've got to tell her something. She's waiting on... Grimley, what the hell are you doing?
Well,
do you want to wait over there, please?
Oh, no problem there, Dick.
Linda, I'm afraid we're going to have
She's about to record a number. She's at a piano. Linda Lavin.
If you think it's necessary, I will do it again.
We'd appreciate that, Linda.
And make sure that the orchestra comes in when it's supposed to, because that's a part of the tune that I can't play.
I can't believe we're taping this thing.
Make sure that you don't shoot my hands when I'm faking it.
Yes, we understand, darling. Ready when you are. Stand by, cameras. Ready to dolly. Camera 3. Make it smooth this time.
Okay, first shot on camera 3. Please stand by.
Loves you, Porky. Don't let him leave me. Someday I know he's coming.
The finest basketball player.
The man is completely overrated.
He's got Magic Johnson on his side.
Excuse me. Somebody wants sandwiches.
And then he's going to feel me, Porgy, deep inside me. But when he calls, I know I have to go.
Yes, I'm in the green room with Marilyn Olsen and Jamie Farr and Lorne Green. Oh, it's going very well. Very well. Yes, everyone's talking to me. I'm really surprised.
Must be Gavin McLeod, who played the captain in The Love Boat, among other things.
If this show doesn't
Well
get
as
great
the
numbers
Mary
with
Tyler
this
Moore
cast,
show.
then I don't know what.
Joe Flaherty. Anyway, I'll cut the clip. I just snuck in to look at the Braves, and it's 2-2. They're batting now, so go Braves. I hope they can pull this out. All right, so happy 84th birthday to Linda Lavin. Now, on October 16th, a legend had a big birthday. Suzanne Somers turned 75 on Wednesday, back on October 16th, and she was born Wednesday, October 16th, 1946 in San Bruno, California. She, of course, is an actress, author, singer, businesswoman, and health spokesperson. Suzanne Somers appeared in the television role of Chrissy Snow on Three's Company. That's what really made her a superstar and an international sex symbol. And she played also Carol Foster Lambert on Step by Step. We'll get to it in a minute. Excuse me. Suzanne Somers was the third of 4 children in an Irish-American Catholic family. Suzanne Somers' mother, Marian Elizabeth, was a medical secretary, and her father, Francis Mahoney, was a laborer and gardener. And she did commercials with him for lightsabers, and reportedly, according to her, he had an alcohol abuse problem that he overcame. When Suzanne Somers was 6 years old, like I said, her father became an alcoholic. Suzanne Somers' father would call her names and embarrass her. Suzanne Somers attended Cappuccino High School, and she also said, God dang. This is really really strangely written. She also said, I guess, what is this, like an allegation? She also said she was a cheerleader at Mercy High School in Burlingame, California, and she was accepted at San Francisco College for Women, a college run by the Catholic Society of the Sacred Heart Order. Suzanne Somers married Bruce Somers in 1965 when she was just 19 years old, and they had a son, Bruce Jr., born in November 1965. That marriage ended back in 1968. Suzanne Somers became a prize model on Anniversary Game in 1969 to 1970, where she met host Alan Hamill, and they married in 1977, 7 years later. Suzanne Somers began acting in small roles during the late 1960s and early 1970s, including on various talk shows promoting her book of poetry and bit parts in movies such as the blonde in the White Thunderbird in American Graffiti. What a classic, directed by George Lucas, which also had Cindy Williams in it, who you heard from earlier, talking about Penny Marshall earlier in the Podblast. And she also was in an episode of the American version of the sitcom titled Lots of Luck, and she was the femme fatale in the early 1970s. She also appeared in The Rockford Files in 1974, The Dating Game in 1974, and she had an uncredited role as a topless pool girl in Magnum Force in 1973, the Dirty Harry movie starring Clint Eastwood. Suzanne Somers also had guest starring role in The $6 Million Man in season 5 in 1977, in an episode titled The Cheshire Project, and she played a passenger on the first episode of The Love Boat, as well as a guest appearance in a 1976 episode of One Day at a Time. She later landed her most famous role of the ditzy blonde Chrissy Snow on the ABC sitcom Three's Company in 1977. After there were 2 other women that were rejected, there were 2 other pilots. I'll talk about that in a second. She won the role. She was the 3rd person that tried out to play Chrissy Snow, and she secured the role. Also that year in 1977, she was a celebrity panelist on Match Game and appeared with her husband Alan Hamill on the game show Tattletale starring Bert Convy. Suzanne Somers was cast in the ABC sitcom Three's Company back in January 1977 after actresses Suzanne Zenor and Susan Lanier did not impress producers during the first 2 test pilots. Suzanne Somers was suggested by ABC president, the legendary Fred Silverman, who had seen her on The Tonight Show. And she was auditioned and hired the day before taping of the 3rd and final pilot officially commenced. She portrayed Chrissy Snow, a stereotypical dumb blonde. Not at first. At first, she wasn't that stupid. They really made her more ditzy as the show went along and became even more popular in the ratings. And she was employed as an office secretary, her character. Three's Company, of course, co-starred John Ritter and Joyce DeWitt. And it was a comedy of errors about 2 single women living with a single man, who pretends to be gay in order to bypass the landlord's policy prohibiting single men sharing an apartment with single women. Three's Company was an instant success in the ratings, eventually spawning a short-lived spin-off series starring Norman Fell and Audra Lindley titled The Ropers. Suzanne Somers became an audience favorite, with the media proclaiming her as the show's breakout star, and leading to her success as a popular sex symbol of the 1970s. Suzanne Somers was generally credited for transforming the program into a worldwide phenomenon. When Three's Company began its 5th season in the fall of 1980, Somers demanded a hefty salary increase from $30,000 to $150,000 an episode, and 10% ownership of the show's profits. Those close to the situation suggested that Suzanne Somers' rebellion was largely due to her husband Alan Hamill's influences. After ABC denied her raise in salary, Suzanne Somers refused to appear in the 2nd and 4th episodes of the season due to excuses such as a broken rib. She finished the remaining season of her contract, but her role was decreased to just 60 seconds per episode, her character only appearing in the episode's closing tag, in which Chrissy calls the trio's apartment from her parents' home. And they filmed that with her by herself away from the co-stars on a closed set. After ABC fired her from the program and terminated her contract, Suzanne Somers sued the network for $2 million, saying her credibility in show business had been damaged. The lawsuit was settled by an arbitrator who decided Somers was owed $30,000 due to a single missed episode for which she had not been paid. Future rulings also favored the ABC network and the show's producers. Suzanne Somers says she was fired for asking to be paid as much as popular male television stars of the time, such as Alan Alda on MASH and Carol O'Connor on All in the Family. Before the feud with ABC and Three's Company producers had ended, rival network CBS knew that Suzanne Somers was ultimately going to be available. They signed her to a contract and a development deal for her own sitcom to be called The Suzanne Somers Show, in which she was to play an over-the-top airline stewardess. Once she was indeed available, after her firing from Three's Company, CBS gave Somers and the public a time frame in which to expect the show to hit the air. But due to a change in administration at CBS Entertainment Division in early 1982, the executives ended up passing on the project. In her book titled After the Fall, published in 1998, Suzanne Somers said the producers of Three's Company kept sending cease and desist forms to CBS, stating that Somers could not use any of her Chrissy Snow characterization, which she said chilled the creative process, meaning she can't be ditzy or flighty like her character Chrissy Snow in Three's Company. In 1983, Suzanne Somers, through her Hamill Somers production, her husband Alan Hamill / Somers Productions, had signed a deal with Columbia Pictures Television. Suzanne Somers and her Three's Company co-star John Ritter didn't speak for years, but they rekindled their friendship after 20 years of not speaking shortly before John Ritter's death in 2003. That's good. Suzanne Somers appeared in 2 Playboy cover feature nude pictorials in 1980 and in 1984. Her first set of nude photos was taken by Stan Malinowski in February 1970, when Suzanne Somers was a struggling model and actress. This is before she shot American Graffiti, maybe a couple years before, and did a test photo shoot for Playboy. She was accepted as a Playmate candidate in 1971, but declined to pose nude before the actual shoot. During an appearance on The Tonight Show, Suzanne Somers denied ever posing nude, except for a High Society magazine topless photo, which prompted Playboy to publish photos from the 1970 shoot a decade later in 1980, after she was a big star on television. Suzanne Somers' original motivation for posing nude was to be able to pay medical bills related to injuries her son Bruce Jr. suffered in a car accident. By the time the photos were published, her son was 14, and Somers feared didn't want him to see his mother posing nude. She thought it would be difficult for her son. Somers sued Playboy and settled for $50,000, which was donated to charity, at least $10,000 of it going to the Easter Seals charity. The second nude pictorial by photographer Richard Fegley appeared in December 1984 in an attempt by Somers to regain her diminished popularity after the Three's Company debacle in 1981. Despite her anger and the earlier lawsuit, Playboy approached her earlier that year to pose nude a second time. Initially, she was angered again, but eventually agreed after discussing it with her family. She felt she would have a better chance to control the quality of photos the second time, and having such control was an important condition that Suzanne Somers attached to posing. Despite Somers' earlier belief that her son would not want to see his mother nude, I know I wouldn't, her then 18-year-old son did view the second pictorial. Okay, that's creepy. I wouldn't do that. At the height of her exposure as official spokesperson for the Thighmaster infomercials, Suzanne Somers made her first return to a series, though not on network television. In 1987, Suzanne Somers starred in the sitcom She's the Sheriff, which ran in first-run syndication. Suzanne Somers portrayed a widow with 2 young kids who decided to fill the shoes of her late husband, a sheriff of a Nevada town. The show ran for 2 seasons. Here's how the opening credits to She's the Sheriff sounded. It's just like an instrumental piece with saxophone, but I'll play it just for historical significance here. It's right here. I'm losing my voice, folks. I talk too damn much. Talk about diarrhea of the mouth. Kind of hard to do this solo live, but not making excuses. All right, let's get She's the Sheriff. And we'll talk about her next big hit show, although this wasn't a big hit. Here. Remember this show? I do.
She's the sheriff now. Ba-da-da.
She's the sheriff. And also, she did some television ads. She was a spokesperson for Ace Hardware. Now, what is not mentioned in what I've shared with you so far is that she lost that deal to Ace Hardware due to the Playboy magazine debacle of the first pictorial of the shoot that was done in 1970. When that hit in 1980, she lost her deal with Ace Hardware. I want to play one of those Ace Hardware ads. And also she, like I mentioned earlier, she did ads with her dad and solo for Lifesavers Candies. So let me find that. Where the hell is that? I thought I pulled that damn commercial. Maybe I didn't. Damn, I know I pulled it. Here we go. Here it is. Here's an Ace Hardware ad from 1979 before she lost the contract.
Ace Hardware presents Suzanne Somers.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware man. He knows you need to fix things, he shows you how you can. His price is right on everything, and he's got your favorite brand. Ace is the place with the helpful hardware man. He's so helpful, yeah. Ace is the place with the helpful hardware man.
It's pretty cheesy, but kind of cute. I don't know. I always like Suzanne Somers. And here, of course, is an instrumental version of the Three's Company theme. I'm going to play this just because I pulled it. I like this version. I featured this before. I don't know who scored this. This is a fan that did this. That version. During the 1980s, Suzanne Somers became a Las Vegas entertainer. In the early 1990s, she was, as I mentioned, the spokeswoman in a series of infomercials for the Thigh Master, a piece of exercise equipment. Nice legs. Why, thank you. Nice leg. No, really. Nice leg. Nice legs. Why, thank you. And it's the device. It's a big hunk of blue plastic that's squeezed between one's thighs. Hence the name, the Thigh Master. And during this period of her career, she also performed for U.S. servicemen overseas, which is pretty cool. In 1990, Somers returned to network TV, appearing in numerous guest roles and made-for-TV movies, mostly for ABC, which it was a network she was at odds with over the Three's Company contract dispute. Her roles in these included the movie Rich Men, Single Women. And that attracted the attention of Laura Moore Television and Miller Boyett Productions, who were developing a new sitcom. Somers had starred in the film with Heather Locklear, who inadvertently directed the focus of both production companies to Suzanne Somers due to Locklear's starring role on Going Places, which was produced by Laura Moore Productions. And for Laura Moore, this was asking Suzanne Somers back, since they alone had produced She's the Sheriff. Laura Moore did. In September 1991, Suzanne Somers returned to TV in the sitcom Step by Step with Patrick Duffy, who had played Bobby Ewing on Dallas. And that show became a success for ABC's youth-oriented TGIF lineup. A week after the premiere of Step by Step, a 2-hour biopic of Suzanne Somers, starring the actress herself, entitled Keeping Secrets, based on her first autobiography of the same title, was broadcast on ABC. The movie chronicled Suzanne Somers' troubled family life and upbringing, along with her subsequent rise to fame. Playing off her rejuvenated career, Suzanne Somers also launched a daytime talk show in 1994, aptly titled Suzanne Somers, which lasted just one season. Step by Step continued on ABC until the end of its 6th season in 1997. That's a pretty good run. Whereupon the series moved to CBS that fall, which turned out to be its final season. That happens a lot, like Different Strokes. It went from NBC to ABC, and then it only lasted 1 year. The Bionic Woman went from ABC to NBC, lasted one more year. Anyway, with Step by Step now airing on CBS, Somers was chosen to co-host the network's revival of Candid Camera with Peter Funt, the son of Alan Funt, which began airing later that season. I don't remember that. Here's how the step-by-step opening sounded. I pulled that clip for you guys and gals in the audience. Step by step. Here it is. In the opening credits, they're going to an amusement park to ride a roller coaster. Another instrumental kind of theme. TV shows these days don't have theme songs. You notice that?
Dream got broken, seemed like all was lost. What would be the future? Could you pay the cost? You won. Will there ever be a second time around? Oh, when the tears are over and the moment has come, say, my Lord, I think I found someone. You know it will be better. You're putting it together for the second time around. We got the woman and man. We got the kids and the play. Only time will tell them. All these dreams fit under one umbrella. Step by step, day by day, fresh start over, different hands to play. Deeper we fall, stronger we stay. It will be better the second time around. Step by step, day by day, fresh start over.
Maybe it's best TV shows don't have theme songs anymore. This one wasn't that great, in my opinion.
Make it better second time
And it's showing like a roller coaster. It looks like the Great American Screen Machine at Six Flags Over Georgia. And I liked watching Suzanne. She's a hell of a business person. She's not a dummy like her character Chrissy Snow was made out to be. They made it like a cartoon. At first, she wasn't a bimbo, like a blonde idiot. As the show went on, they made Chrissy Snow dumber and dumber. But, of course, with the Thigh Master, and she was on QVC, or was it Home Shopping Network? Forgive me if I think it's Home Shopping Network, but she would routinely go on there and sell her wares, and she made a bundle of cash. Very, very successful, she and her husband, Alan. And did you know she has 3 granddaughters, Camellia Violet and Daisy Hamill? That's cool. Now, this is kind of sad and serious, and then we'll move on here. Suzanne Somers was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer in April 2000, and she had a lumpectomy to remove the cancer, followed by radiation therapy. But she decided to forego chemotherapy in favor of a fermented mistletoe extract called Iscador. On Tuesday, January 9th, 2007, the Associated Press reported that a wildfire in Southern California had sadly destroyed Suzanne Somers' Malibu home. Suzanne Somers later became the author of a series of self-help books, including Ageless, The Naked Truth, about bioidentical hormones in 2006, and that's about bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. She has released 2 autobiographies, 4 diet books, and a book of poetry that we talked about earlier. It was earlier in her career. Suzanne Somers has been criticized for her views on some medical subjects and her advocacy of the Wiley Protocol, which has been labeled as scientifically unproven and dangerous. Her promotion of alternative cancer treatments has received criticism from the American Cancer Society. Let's see if I had any other clips from Suzanne Somers. Nope. Moving on. No, I do want to play a little bit from 1982 of Suzanne Somers with the great Johnny Carson. I think this is very, very interesting. Let me get
Alexia is a beautiful and talented entertainer. She'll be
We'll check
appearing
on
in
the Braves
Atlantic
game.
City at the Sands Hotel, January 28th and 29th. And this coming Monday night, she has a special on, as they say, another network, entitled Suzanne Somers and 10,000 GIs. She can do a number tonight from a very famous Broadway play, show actually, Guys and Dolls, and I think this is only the second time they've allowed this number to be performed on television. Would you welcome, please, Suzanne Somers.
He bought me the surfing 5 winters ago, and the gown was following fall. Then the necklace, the bag, the gloves, and the hat. That was late 48, I recall. Then last night, in his apartment, he tried to remove them all. And I said, as I ran down the hall, sit back, you mink. Sit back, you coils. What made you think that I was one of those girls? Sit back, the gown. Take back the hat. I may be down, but I'm not flat as all that. I thought that each expensive gift he'd arrange was a token of your esteem. Now when I think of what you want in exchange, it all seems a horrible dream. Sit back, you mink. You from whence you came, and tell them to come and go winding for some other day. Take back your mink. Take back your coil.
This is terrible. Forgive me, I forgot about the singing. I'm going to fast forward past this. Just get to the interview. That is awful, in my opinion. I'm sorry. I am sorry.
Stay envelope with. So look.
This is how is constant.
And here is Suzanne Somers.
There we go. I apologize, guys and gals. That was not very good. I should be ashamed of myself.
You look wonderful.
Yikes.
That's a fine number.
Thank you. It's kind of a shock
No, it
to your
isn't.
system I've been
No, you're,
running.
as I used to say, a striking figure of a woman. Yes, you are. Now, I
Thanks,
want to
John.
find out the first thing I noticed, because when somebody performs on this show, we do it live. A lot of shows, you know, singers pre-record and they come out and they go through the lyrics. You're working live, and immediately I said, where are you mic'd? Because we had no overhead mic. You were wearing not the voluminous costume. Is that the right word?
Yes,
Voluminous?
it is, voluminous.
Couldn't you see it?
No.
No.
Oh, I had a radio pack in the back of that corset. It adds about a couple inches to the back of you. I thought
In other words,
you
it's a transmitter that you have to
Yeah.
wear in the back, and then the microphone is hidden.
it's hidden down in the bus line.
Well, it works very well. Right. The
Happy
hills are
microphone.
alive with the sound of music.
Good old Johnny.
I'm sorry.
What a flirt.
Sorry about that. I started and I was into it before I realized what I was saying.
As long as they're singing.
Have you ever had a power failure while you're using that? No, I'm serious. No, you know what I'm saying. They're very reliable. But sometimes I have seen shows where the
Yeah.
singers are out there. I know they use them in Las Vegas all the time.
On your show.
Yeah, you did one time. We
Yeah,
did have
yeah.
them. I think it was because of all the electronic equipment we have in the
Well, I
studio.
think I was the first one who ever talked Fred into using a radio mic on the show.
Yeah,
I think.
and it worked very well.
And he did a lot of I Told You So's after.
Yeah.
But there's some numbers. I do a production show when I'm doing my Nickelback, and some numbers you just can't hold a microphone.
Absolutely.
The problem with this thing is I wear it. I wear it through the whole act, you know,
Right.
so it makes all the costumes fit a little strangely.
A little
But-
snug. Anyway, you just finished your special in Germany with a lot of the servicemen stationed over there.
Yeah.
Soon?
Yeah,
What the hell was that?
Suzanne Somers and 10,000 GIs. Actually, somewhere from 30 to 50,000 showed up, and that was really overwhelming.
Best audiences in the world.
Ah, they were great. And we started the show with.
Means somebody
I
scored,
brought
Braves.
a chorus line of the most beautiful, leggiest girl dancers. Some of them were on the
Well,
show
these girls are
tonight,
not
yes.
exactly.
Yeah, right. You want to throw them out, huh?
No.
And when you walk out in front of 30 to 50,000 soldiers with a chorus line of beautiful girls all tap dancing, they went crazy. It was
Well, I suppose
just-
the moat and the barbed wire helped somewhat. I remember being in the service, and those shows would come over, and the girls would be on the plane, and the guys would...
I know. What branch of the service were you in?
I was in the Navy, which is difficult when they brought the shows to land. But,
Yeah, that's true.
who else is in the show with you?
Jonathan Winters.
Oh, he's not one of my favorites.
Yeah, he is wonderful. And asked that we do not write anything for him.
He works best impromptu, always has.
Yeah, he does. As long as I wasn't singing, he was free to walk out on stage anytime he wants and breaks in, and he does, and it was real nice. I've learned so much from you. But over the years, I've been doing the but doing the show for so shall we tell? Jim?
No. Tell a friend, right?
Yeah. He would. I forgot. I got flustered and forgot. Oh, I know. Doing your show for the past 12 years,
Right.
I've really learned the art of ad-libbing from you, really,
Thank you.
because there's no script here. This
Right.
is what happens.
It's better to get out sometimes and just feel the audience and have a good time with it.
Yeah. I had Susan Anton on the show, and she's so gorgeous. But I must say, I looked rather nice myself when I was standing out there. She walked out. It's the first time in my life I've ever felt like olive oil. I'm not
She's
kidding.
rather tall, first of all.
She is tall. I mean, she's about a foot taller than I am.
Well, not quite.
Well, she
It
had
seems
heels on. 6 feet without her shoes. You put on high heels. I'm 5'5".
Yeah, she could be that.
Yeah. And Dudley Moore was over with us, and
Right.
he's a happy fellow.
Well, that tends to do it. That brings on happiness real quick.
They said their theme song is "I've Got You Under My Chin."
Before you do another number, I don't want to get too far behind. Have you made any New Year's resolutions at all? Or do you do that?
Well, I decided I'm going to give up bowling.
Give up bowling. That's awfully tough to break that habit. You really have to. You have to just bowl one frame and then just cut down day by day. To knock off bowling cold turkey is murder. You go bowl out and bowl 4 frames and then 1 frame and 3.
That's right.
Tough.
Well, I just decided to go for it.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Freddie is
Oh, is he?
yeah, giving me a cue because I would love to see you perform again.
Okay.
You all set?
I
Here's Suzanne.
am.
Okay.
No. Let me just see with it. Hopefully this isn't as annoying as that first number. My Lord, I'm sorry about that. I gotta cut it. I'll probably get dinged by the bots.
Tell me that you're leaving. I can't believe it's true.
Well, she can sing. She's like Barbara Eden. Okay, you get it. I gotta cut it. I gotta move on. Suzanne Somers, I love you. Tim McCarver turned 80 on October 16th of this year, 2021. And Tim McCarver, who of course is a sports broadcaster and a former professional baseball player, he was born James Timothy McCarver in Memphis, Tennessee on Thursday, October 16th, 1941. And he played for the St. Louis Cardinals, Philadelphia Phillies, Montreal Expos, and the Boston Red Sox between 1959 and 1980. He also appeared in the Major League Baseball All-Star Game in 1966 and 1967. And was the starting catcher for the World Series champion St. Louis Cardinals in 1964 and 1967. I did know that. After Tim McCarver's playing career ended, he began a career as a broadcaster, most notably for Fox Sports. A lot of people don't care for his play-by-play, but he's been doing it a long time, and at least he played the game. Tim McCarver called a then record 23 World Series and 20 All-Star games. I remember watching in the early 90s the Braves, worst to first, the Battles of October, CBS called it, and he called those games, man. Remember in 92? Braves win! Braves win! Who could forget Skip Carey? But I digress. And as we're live, I'm missing the scores 2-2 in Game 2 of the NLCS with the Braves versus the Dodgers. I can't believe I'm missing it. And you can always listen and watch me on demand anytime. So if you would rather watch the game, by all means. And don't forget my friend James Enstall's show, Geek to Me Radio, coming up live for 1 hour on St. Louis Radio, and you can find it on YouTube. It's called Geek to Me Radio. He does a great job and always has some nice guests. So dump out of my program, the Nostalgic Podblast, and check out those two live things going on if you like, and then come back to me later at a time of your convenience. So getting back to Tim McCarver, the last thing I'll say, excuse me, is he won 3 Sports Emmy Awards and was the recipient of the 2012 Ford C. Frick Award for Broadcasting. Moving on to October 17th, someone we just lost, an awesome comedian, Norm Macdonald. Born Norman Jean McDonald was born on a Saturday, just like I was. Doesn't mean a damn thing, I'm just saying. Anyway, Norm Macdonald was born Saturday, October 17th, 1959 in Quebec City, Canada. He's obviously a stand-up comedian, writer, and actor known for his deadpan style. Very unique material. And early in Norm Macdonald's career, he wrote for the sitcom Roseanne and made guest appearances on such shows as The Drew Carey Show and News Radio, primetime sitcoms. Macdonald was then also a cast member on Saturday Night Live for 5 years, including anchoring, obviously, the Weekend Update segment for 3 seasons. After leaving Saturday Night Live, Norm Macdonald starred in the 1998 film Dirty Work and in his own sitcom, The Norm Show, from 1999 to 2001. In 2013, Norm Macdonald started a video podcast called The Norm Macdonald Live Show, in which he interviewed comedians and other celebrities. In 2018, Norm Macdonald released Norm Macdonald Has a Show, a Netflix talk show with a similar premise to his podcast. Throughout his career, Macdonald has appeared in numerous movies. He's been a guest on talk shows such as Conan, Late Night with David Letterman, and The Howard Stern Show. Norm Macdonald also worked as a voice actor, notably on the animated show Mike Tyson Mysteries. Paste magazine named Norm Macdonald number 31 on their 50 best stand-up comics of all time. I'm sure he's gone up since then, after his death. Sadly, as we know, Norm passed away after a long private battle with cancer on Tuesday, September 14th, 2021. He was 61 years old. And I've got to play a clip, very brief, and then we'll move on to someone else. I don't want to take up too much of your time tonight. Whenever you might be listening to this overnight on fistfulofradio.com, or on Apple Podcast, or my YouTube channel, The Nostalgic Podblast, or in the Facebook group, The Nostalgic Podblast. But here's some clips of the great Norm Macdonald. I'll play some more later towards the end of the show, too. Let's see here. There we go. I miss Norm Macdonald.
The richest girl in the world, billionaire Athena Onassis, celebrated her 10th birthday this week. What's it like to be the richest girl in the world? Well, to give you some idea, at the party, they had 2 cakes. And now Weekend Update would like to wish a happy birthday to comic legend George Burns, who turned 100 years old today.
Uh-oh. I love George Burns.
You know, I don't know the secret to his longevity, but I think I speak for all of us when I say I hope Pauly Shore doesn't know it either.
Pauly Shore sucks.
Oh. Well, a big seller this holiday season is Michael Bolton's Christmas album, This Is the Time. Happy birthday, Jesus. Hope you like crap. Kenny G has a Christmas album out this year. Hey, happy birthday, Jesus. Hope you like crap. Well, I don't know. This week, the chairman of the board, Frank Sinatra, turned 81 years old, and he was honored by having the Empire State Building lit in blue. Also, in Mr. Sinatra's honor, the Empire State Building had the Twin Towers rough up the Chrysler Building.
Rough it up.
The mob.
Frank Sinatra turned
Strong arm.
80 this week. Frank Sinatra. And although the singer is said to be suffering from Alzheimer's, he had a typically festive birthday, singing a duet with a hooker and having sex with Tony Bennett. Probably going to end up in Jersey with a meat hook up my ass, but it was a good joke.
The great Norm Macdonald. I'll play some more clips later at the end of the show. Oh, man. What a loss to the comedy world and comedy lover world. People that love funny stuff. Eminem turned 49 on October 17th. He was born in St. Joseph, Missouri on Tuesday, October 17th, 1972, as Marshall Bruce Mathers III, known professionally as Eminem. And he's, of course, an American rapper, songwriter, and record producer. Also, he's among the best-selling music artists of all time, with an estimated worldwide sale record, almost a record, of over 220 million records. I repeat, Eminem is among the best-selling music artists of all time with an estimated worldwide sales of over 220 million records. Another birthday in heaven, October 17th. Back on Thursday, October 17th, 1918, Rita Hayworth was born in Brooklyn, New York. Rita Hayworth sadly died also on a Thursday on May 14th, 1987. Also born on October 17th, back in 1938, in Butte, Indiana, was Robert Craig Knievel, known professionally as Evel Knievel. And of course, everyone knows he was an American stunt performer and entertainer. Over the course of Evel Knievel's career, he attempted more than 75 ramp-to-ramp motorcycle jumps. And there was a great toy made after him that has been brought back. Ideal originally released that toy. I had it. Did you have it? It's out now. You can get it, and it's relatively inexpensive. Evel Knievel was inducted into the Motorcycle Hall of Fame in 1999. Unfortunately, Evel Knievel died of pulmonary disease in Clearwater, Florida, at 69 years of age on Friday, November 30th, 2007. Now, we talked earlier about the loss of Penny Marshall on her birthday. Michael McKean turned 74. And he played Lenny. And we heard from Squiggy, who died a couple of years ago, David Lander. But Michael McKean is 74, and he was born Friday, October 17th, 1947, in New York, New York. And I liked him in the Brady Bunch movie from 1995. And he had a funny line where this dog's about to take a leak on his head, like a cute little, I think it's that wasn't a poodle, it was a cute little dog, and it's lifting its leg, and he's on the ground after he got exploded in some sort of, funny, like almost like a cartoon explosion. And he goes, "Do it, and you're spam." You just had to see it. You just had to see it. It was a funny little scene. But Michael McKean, yeah, in the Brady Bunch movie, that was by Paramount, who also released Laverne and Shirley and Happy Days on television. And it was filmed in their studios. Montgomery Clift, another heavenly birthday, born Sunday, October 17th, 1920 in Omaha, Nebraska. A prolific film actor. He died of an apparent heart attack on Saturday, July 23rd, 1966. Oh, man, I love this talented dude. Mike Judge. He was also born October 17th, way back in 1962, which was a Wednesday when he was born in Ecuador. I did not know that. He was born in Ecuador, but he was raised in New Mexico State. And, of course, he got noticed with his animated shorts on Saturday Night Live, like The Ambiguously Gay Duo, a spoof of Batman and Robin, Beavis and Butthead on MTV, and King of the Hill on Fox, among others. And I love King of the Hill, but Mike Judge also wrote and directed the films Beavis and Butthead Do America in 1996 and Office Space in 1999 with Jennifer Aniston and Ron Livingston. That's a great movie. And Michael Cole, who played, and I just talked about the Brady Bunch movie from 1995, and there was a sequel too, a very, very Brady sequel, but he played Mike Brady. And he was in Office Space. Michael Cole, yeah, he was awesome. And also Mike Judge directed Extract in 2009. Let's see. And in 1995, Mike Judge and former The Simpsons writer Greg Daniels developed King of the Hill, which debuted on Fox in 1997 and quickly became a hit with both critics and audiences, running for 13 seasons. King of the Hill became one of the longest-running American animated series, next to The Simpsons. Judge has won a Primetime Emmy Award and 2 Annie Awards for King of the Hill, and 2 Critics' Choice Television Awards and Satellite Awards for a project, Silicon Valley. Now, here's my favorite character on King of the Hill. Get this clip queued up. Should have had it queued up already. Sorry about that. And then we're going to get to the reason I have a picture on camera, if you're watching live, of Bill Tush. We're going to explain that in just a second. So here's a scene of my absolute favorite character on King of the Hill, and it's only like 35 seconds.
Hey, man, it's 911. I ain't in here, little Megalo Mark, man. They go, boom, man, it's a fire day. And it don't, that gun, that come out everywhere, man. I don't know, saw Nick, man, run out there. I don't know if he, Chuck Mangione gonna be come down here.
Sir, you are going to have to speak more slowly. I cannot understand you.
Dang, oh, Megalo Mark had talked about the damn that it, boom.
Remember that one? That was a great 911 call. Hell, he did it better than William Shatner. I kid, I joke. Look, I've been beating up on Shatner. He's a great personality. I'm sorry. But, hell, he did better in that joke. It was better than the real 911 call by William Shatner. Do I dare play that again? I think I might. Hang on a second here. Yeah, let me play it.
LA City Fire. Oh my God! And what's your problem? Shut my pool wife's at the bottom of the pool. Okay, did you get her out of the pool yet, sir? No, not yet. Okay, I want you to kick her out of the pool right now, sir. I'm gonna take her. She's up at very deep end. Okay. Grab something to get her out of the pool. Yes, City. Sir. Yes. We're on the way. Get your wife out of the pool, but don't hang up the phone.
Damn! He just hung up the phone. Look, you never know what you're gonna do in a panic situation. I've been kidding about this, but I really am a fan of William Shatner. I hope y'all can take a joke and not take it so personally. A lot of folks take it real personally when I make jokes. But I really don't think, of course, the man didn't do anything to his wife. I just don't think he lifted a finger to save her. But enough said. Moving on. Margot Kidder was born Sunday, October 17th, 1948 in Yellowknife, Northwest Territories. Of course, she played Lois Lane in the Superman movies, among other projects, but that's what she's best known for playing. Lois Lane in 4 Superman feature films. Sadly, Margot Kidder died Sunday, May 13th, 2018. She was born on a Sunday and died on a Sunday. And we'll cover her fully in a future podcast. I'm going to hold up an autographed picture I have of Margot. Hang on, Bill. I'm going to replace the Bill Tush temporarily. Signed photograph, and here is Margot Kidder if you're watching live on camera. I know this isn't good audio if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or on any of your podcast preferences. There's a picture of Margot Kidder, and she was very, very kind, very sweet. She had her issues, but we all do. So I know she's in heaven. If there is a heaven, I know she's there. And I didn't know the lady, but as far as I was concerned, she was very, very kind, and she is missed. George Wendt. No, he hasn't gone yet. He hasn't went anywhere. He's alive and well. And he was born on the same day as Margot Kidder. Year and everything. Born on Sunday, October 17th, 1948 in Beverly, Chicago, Illinois. Jerry Siegel, the co-creator of Superman, who co-created the character along with his friend Joe Shuster, had a birthday on October 17th in heaven. And Jerry Siegel was born Jerome Siegel on Saturday, October 17th, 1914 in Cleveland, Ohio. Jerry Siegel died Sunday, January 28th, back in 1996, the year the Olympics were in Atlanta, Georgia, where I reside. And I went to the Olympics back then too, but it's not about me. We're talking about Jerry Siegel. What an iconic character, and reportedly, they almost got screwed by Warner Brothers back in 1978, 77, 78, when Superman the movie was released, but they wound up being taken care of a little bit, and I was glad to hear that. Beverly Garland, another birthday in heaven. She was born Sunday, October 17th, 1926 in Santa Cruz, California. She was on My Three Sons, among many other projects. She was a wonderful actor, and she has a hotel near Hollywood where they had a lot of conventions and still do to this day. She died, sadly, on Friday, December 5th, 2008, at 82 years of age of natural causes. And the Beverly Holiday Inn Hotel and Convention Center is now called the Garland, located at 4222 Vineland Avenue in North Hollywood, California, 91602 is a zip. Rest in peace, Beverly Garland. And she played the woman that I'm about to say Mike Douglas, Steve Douglas, I should know, played, married in My Three Sons. In the long-running show, that show lasted 12 seasons from 1960 to 1972. And that's another show that changed networks, but it survived a long time when it went from ABC to CBS. It started in season 6 of 12 on CBS, and it was a very, very popular show. So Beverly Garland, rest in peace. Tom Poston, another Poston. Listen to me. Yes, I can read. Tom Poston. I guess he's best known for that strange character in the Bob Newhart show. Newhart, not Bob Newhart show. That was the one in the 70s. The one in the 80s. Newhart started in 1982 to 1988. And he met one of his future wife, the wife he was married to when he died, Suzanne Plachette, who, of course, she was in the very last episode. I've played a clip of it, the very last episode of Newhart, where Bob wakes up from a dream. And it's like the 1970s sitcom, and she's in bed with him. Anyway, Tom Poston, born Monday, October 17th, 1921 in Columbus, Ohio, sadly died, but he lived a long life at 85 years of age on Monday. Born on a Monday, died on Monday, April 30th, 2007, of respiratory failure. And he married Suzanne Plachette in 2001. And this is one of my last birthdays, and then we'll move on to the heart of the show. Vincent Van Patten, not a big star, not a big celebrity, but you know his father, who passed away of diabetes, the star of 8 is Enough, Dick Van Patten. He had a lot of sons, but Vincent Van Patten is probably the best known son. And Vincent Van Patten, who also, he's a really good, prolific poker player. He was born Thursday, October 17th, 1957. And he also played a character in the hit show at the time, The $6 Million Man, in a 2-hour special episode titled The Bionic Boy, where he played a paraplegic who was given bionic implants so he can walk again. And that was an episode in season 4 of that hit show. And it actually aired, that particular episode, The Bionic Boy, on Sunday, November 7th, 1976. And what's significant about that also is Greg Evigan was in that episode as a bully. And that was one of Greg Evigan's very first acting jobs before starring in BJ and the Bear, the trucker with the chimpanzee. Remember that? Remember that pet chimp bear? Well, in the show, this is just fiction, of course, the monkey was named Bear after the Alabama football coaching legend Bear Bryant. The nostalgic word or expression of the week I will forego because I'm going to do another show later on in the week, and we'll cover that in the toy of the week. I've got to move on and say happy birthday to someone very special that Mr. Al Hardy introduced me to, who I've been a fan of for years as a kid, watching the Tush show, and that would be Bill Tush. I watched the Tush show. That's the first time I saw Bill Tush on television, back on WTCG, WTBS when I was a kid, and I thought he was hysterical. He's another funny deadpan comedian. You thought I forgot him, didn't you? To say happy birthday, Bill Tush. I did not forget. William Bill John Tush III is 73 years old. He probably doesn't want that out there, but damn, I just said it. But no one's, I mean, I appreciate everyone's watching. Listen, don't misunderstand. Just forget what I'm about to say. Bill Tush was born Saturday, October 16th, 1948 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Go Steelers! They're playing tonight too. I'm missing that as well. Playing the Seahawks as we're live. And he's, of course, an American news journalist and humorist. He's hilarious. He's a great follow on social media. He's really funny. In high school, Bill Tush showed an early interest in broadcast performance and started working in radio professionally while he was just a junior in high school. Bill Tush went on to work in Atlanta, Georgia for Ted Turner, first as an announcer, later developing Tush, a comedy show broadcast on Turner's WTBS Superstation. And that went worldwide on cable via satellite. And I remember that show very well. I believe it aired on Sunday nights. And I loved also Gordon Soley, Georgia Championship Wrestling. That was the heyday of WTCG and WTBS. And again, he went on later for years to do Hollywood reporting for CNN. He covered like the Oscars. He was on the red carpet and all that stuff. And Tush is the only child of Apollonia Pauline and William John Tush Jr. Living in the Lawrenceville neighborhood of Pittsburgh, Bill Tush attended Arsenal, Washington Vocational Technical High School, graduating in 1966. While in high school, Tush showed an early interest in broadcast performance. He said as a young child, he was drawn to radio announcers' voices. Quote, "They came alive to me. I was much more comfortable with them than I was the people in my real life." Unquote. Tush chose not to attend college in order to continue his professional broadcasting career, and boy, did it work out. I won't go on and on with the bio. I'll cover that later. I had some more notes, but in the interest of time, I want to play our interview that we did, Al Hardy and I. And I'm going to play that right now. And I'm going to listen in the other room, but I'm also going to look at a little bit of the Braves game, because I'm curious as we're live if the Braves are beating the Dodgers. I hope so. They're live only a few minutes from where I live. That's where they play at the Battery, Truist Park. Anyway, I digress. This will be dated if you're listening to this after the fact. But let's listen now to... Now, what happened was the reason I'm playing this tonight is also not just in honor of Bill Tush's birthday, but the way this was edited by Al Hardy, the day we did this interview, there was a fire across the street. We'll talk about it. You'll hear it in just a second, across from Al's house. And we had to call 911, and we did it properly, unlike some people that will not continue to be mentioned. We actually made a proper 911 call. Rather, Al did. I go, call 911, and he did. Fire trucks in Gwinnett County came rapidly and tried to extinguish what they could. Turned out the guy renting the house, he'd burned a joint and went out to watch a pro football playoff game and left it burning in an ashtray, and it caught some drapes on fire, and the house burned up bad. It was almost a total loss. But since then, it's been rebuilt, and I don't know if it's not inhabited yet, but the insurance company and the owner have managed to salvage that house. But now, without further ado, I'm going to play our interview with Bill Tush, and I'll be back with you live, and here we go.
Today's Nostalgic Podblast was recorded before a live studio audience. Yeah, right.
Hey, Chance.
Yo!
You know what time it is?
Yes, it's Podblast time! I didn't really explain. I did a bad job setting this up. Because of the fire, like, we had to interview him separately, and when he put the show together on YouTube, the interview's missing. So when we originally put this on YouTube, I said, here, listen to the audio. I linked the audio. It's kind of lame. I want to have this on YouTube as well, but really it's in honor of his birthday. But there's two reasons why I'm playing this now. Here we go.
Well, Chance, it's another Sunday. Welcome.
Welcome, Al. It's been an exciting day. Oh my gosh. Before I talk about... All right. I want to acknowledge some Facebook comments live before I get to the interview. Okay, Chance, correction on the actor who played Mike Brady in the Brady Bunch movie is Gary Cole, right? Michael Cole, I got confused with the name, was the star of Mod Squad, the original show. So you're right. It's Gary Cole, not Michael Cole, and they're no relation to each other. That's absolutely correct. And Wesley also said Tom Poston's character on Newhart was George the caretaker at the Stratford Inn in Vermont. And I love that sitcom. You are so right. Let me give that a like and a like on your other comment. And thanks for hanging with me. I know you have other options out there for your entertainment. And about the Greenbush twins, thank you. Wesley, let me go back here. I'm trying to see. For some reason, it's hard for me to pull up comments. Carrie Ingalls was the character, right? So I should have been looking. Sorry, an hour ago you made that comment. The other Greenbush twin sister was Sydney Greenbush. That's correct, who played Carrie. They shared that role. In the opening credits of Little House on the Prairie, the character of Carrie Ingalls would be credited as Lindsay Sydney Greenbush. That's right. I had a brain toot, sir. And then Jay Raymer says, George is a effing twat. Okay. I guess he means George from Cheers. George Wendt. Dick Tufeld narrated that. Yes, he did. The voice of Lost in Space. Anyway, this is all out of context. So let me just move on with the interview with Bill Tush. And I'm going to get some more coffee, and I'll be right back with y'all. Thanks for being here on the Nostalgic Podblast. Let me pull this up right fast quick. About our subject, we've got to let our audience know about the drama that just happened across the street from this very studio. No one got hurt. No animals were harmed.
What happened was
we did an interview with a friend of ours, and we finished the interview. But during the interview, for some reason, the lights were flickering. We never lost power here, but the lights flickered. I don't know what was going on. I figured maybe it's windy here today and very cold, and I figured that, you know, it's maybe the wind is knocking against the power lines and causing the problems.
Right.
So I went outside, and lo and behold, I looked across the street, and the house across the street had all of this smoke coming from
bellowing out
from the roof. And I says, "Oh my God, there's a house! The house is on fire!" And so I had my phone, so I called 911.
I said, "Call 911, Al. It's an emergency."
I called 911. They answered right away, and I said, "Look," and I said, "There's a fire across the street from me at the house," and I gave the street number and everything. And she says, "I have the fire department on the way."
Gwinnett County Fire.
Gwinnett County Fire Department. And they were actually here within probably 6 minutes. They were quick.
Very fast response time. This is in Gwinnett County, Georgia,
And
in
they-
the Lawrenceville-Lilburn area, if anyone knows the state of
they were
Georgia.
quick. And you got to hand it to Fire and Rescue. I mean, those guys really earn a paycheck. And, you know, that's something we pay taxes for that I don't mind paying taxes for.
4 trucks, 4 fire trucks. And the cool thing, Al, no one was hurt. No animals were harmed, but there was a dog in there.
There was a dog in there.
Oh,
I didn't.
man. I didn't
Well, the
think there
guy
was a
that
dog.
lived
Forgot
there
about
actually
that.
came down and talked to me, and I said, "Did you have any pets?" He says, "Yeah, I have one dog that's in there." I said, "Oh my goodness!" And so apparently they got the dog out because they had this stretcher out there, and they had the little dog on this thing, and
With
they were,
oxygen.
Yeah, and they had oxygen on him. So I think they saved the dog, which is really, they try to do that. You know, they try to save people's animals.
Good
I mean,
for them.
forget your TV set, your stereo, your furniture, that can be replaced. But a pet, if you lose a pet, you've lost a pet. You can't replace it.
This is true. And an interesting thing also is you've been in this house since 1988, and you've never seen the fire hydrant. He has a fire hydrant in his front yard, like at the top of his driveway.
Well, the fire
across
hydrant is
from-
located at the top of my driveway, but
across
it's
from
on
the
my
mailbox.
property. And I actually get a break on my insurance because of that. You know, not a lot, but I do. But I've never seen them use that fire hydrant.
They busted that thing open and got
Oh,
the
yeah.
hose on that fire, and they put it out.
And they were quick. They were fast.
The fire was in the back of the house, so it's
It was
probably
in the back
started
of the
in
house.
kitchen.
Probably because the kitchen in that house is in the back of the house, and I think that's where the fire started.
And there's a photo on our Facebook page. Our Facebook page, by the way, is Nostalgic Pod Blast. And Pod Blast is The one Nostalgic word, not Pod two. Blast. Our logo has 2 for Pod Blast. It's just one word. And there's pictures, and we did a Facebook Live video on your personal Facebook page, but it was pretty
Right.
exciting.
Well, I actually talked to the guy, one of the guys that lived there, and he came down. We were talking, and he had just left the house, he said, to go watch the football game with some friends.
Yeah, NFL playoffs.
And, you know, down the street, and, you know, and he saw this smoke. He didn't know what was going on, so he came out. And a friend of mine who used to live across the street, Andrew, he grew up there. I knew Andrew when he was born, and he's like 29, 30 years old now. But anyway, he was down the street visiting Clayton, a friend of his. And so they came walking up, and, you know, I was talking to Andrew as he was watching the house he grew up in burn.
And that's sad.
You know,
It's sad, man. But
they sold the house, you know, 4 years ago, I think. So they moved, and they sold the house.
But wasn't Norm living there for a while after he sold it or something?
I remember.
no?
Yeah, for a short period of time until, you know, he moved out. But I mean, I've known the Barnum family for since I've lived here.
Yeah.
I moved here in 1988. I think they moved to there in 1990. So I watched all their kids grow up. I knew them all.
So anyway, we had
When they were babies.
We had a front row seat to Live Rescue on A&E.
Yeah, one of my favorite
I mean,
shows.
these guys went into action. They're heroes. Samantha Livingston always said I should be a fireman because I'm quick. And anyway, my long time.
But you're too short to be a fireman.
No, actually, you can be short,
Just
tall. The
joking.
cool thing about being a fireman, height really doesn't have anything to do with it. But getting back on track on our subject matter today, this is our 17th Pod Blast. So what I was wanting to do was do a tribute show to my favorite television station of all time, Superstation WTCG, which became WTBS, that Ted Turner founded and bought in 1970, where Al and Tom worked for many years. That's how they got to know each other. And then we have a very special guest that Al talked about, Mr. Bill Tush, will be on the show later today.
I've known Bill. I started working at Channel 17, Turner. It was then WTCG in 1976. And so I worked there until 1991. But when I started working at Turner, They were on West Peachtree Street downtown, up under their big
In Atlanta.
tower. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just walked in off the street because I had worked in television before in North Carolina. And so I said, you know, need any help? They hired me the same day.
Those are the good old days, man.
Back then, there was like 63 people on payroll.
Wow.
At Channel 17.
They didn't do a background check or anything? I mean, not that you have
Heck
anything to
no.
hide, but, you know,
No,
they
they
just,
didn't
oh,
do
yeah,
a-
come on in, man.
But I
fill out an application.
But I tell you, it turned out to be the best job I ever had. Because Channel 17, they ran all these old movies and old TV shows, and I was just in hog heaven. And I just, I really enjoyed working there. And Bill Tush was one of the first people I met when I started working there.
I'm a big fan of Bill Tush. To
Yeah.
me, along with Ted Turner, he is the face of the old Superstation 17, at least in my mind.
Well, that's true. And Bill's been a friend. You know, and he still lives here in Atlanta. And of course, he went on later to work at CNN. He was an entertainment editor over there. But because, I was there when Ted started CNN.
That was 1980, right?
I was on the ground floor. In fact, if you go to YouTube, when Ted launched CNN, I'm sitting on the front row.
Wow.
I said, we just all walked. There was a big meeting and everything. It was kind of cool. And
For someone in my generation, we all remember Superstation 17. If you didn't have cable, it was the best station to watch movies. And I loved how on Sunday, locally, it would be the only station that didn't have religious programming. They would play Lost in Space and Hazel and great cartoons, the old Tex Ritter cartoons, the MGM cartoons. I love Droopy. I love Tom and Jerry, all that stuff. And the film library. And the cool thing that you and Tom had access to borrow all of those great films and programs.
Well, not so much Tom. He worked upstairs in the production department. But I worked in the film department, and I was a switcher. You know what a switcher is? They
No, I don't.
They control everything that goes on the air. It's just like a big console, like in radio. But we had a projection room with film projectors and VTRs, videotape recorders and stuff. And everything was, had to be loaded and processed, and I punched the button to put it on the air. But anyway, I did that, 3 days a week, and then I worked in the film department the other 2 days a week.
That's so cool.
But
I'm a film geek.
we had multiple jobs, and I was a film collector. Yes, we were in hog heaven because then Channel 17 libraried all those films. We had a massive library.
And you had at one time all of the I Dream of Genies, all of the Lost in Space.
We won't go there.
Well, I will say this. This isn't anything of getting you in trouble. You had all of the Space Giants episodes that I've talked about in previous pod blasts, like
At
our
one
Christmas
time,
show
yes,
and our
I did.
toy. And I loved that show would come on like 4 in the afternoon after school, right before Flintstones, and I watched it every day.
Well, what happened was later on when film, digital tape came into being, and everything transferred from film to tape, and films are no longer used. But
correct. That's how they would show reruns, was literally with the projector and film before it switched to
I was
videotape.
at the Turner place. It's been some years ago, but now everything like Turner Classic Movies,
Chopping wheat.
Cartoon Network, even TBS, all of that stuff is run by computers.
Right.
And they have
automation.
They have these giant servers that everything is loaded on a computer, and it's done like radio with an automation system. It's just pre-programmed. There's nobody punching buttons that I used to do. It's all done automatically by automation.
Yeah, and we don't want to have this to be like an A&E biography of Ted Turner, but I will say there's just some basic background on Ted Turner. He was born November 19th, 1938. The same year Superman was born in the comics, and Ted Turner was a real-life Superman. He changed the world.
Well,
with his
he's
innovation.
the reason we have MeTV, we have Antenna TV, we have Comet TV, we have Light TV, we have the Movie Channel. Decades Channel, all of that stuff.
And before that, Nick at Night and TV Land.
Right. Well, Ted was the first person to put all of that stuff on satellite and distribute it.
He was a genius, and he got it cheap, inexpensive programming.
I know we
Green
had
Acres,
the
Star Trek.
series My Little Margie. You might not remember that, but I used to love that.
I've
show.
heard of it, and I've never seen it, but Ted Turner was born Robert Edward Turner III, and his dad made money in the outdoor billboard business. And so what I like about Turner is, of course, 17, best station of all time. Now it's not so great. The only thing I watch on it now is Conan O'Brien.
Well, he also owned a TV station in Charlotte, WRET, Channel 36.
And tell us the original call letters of WTCG.
WJRJ.
Very cool.
When he bought this station, it was WJRJ, and they changed it to WTCG. Now, think it stands for Turner Communications Group, but
according to Wikipedia, it stands for "We're Gonna Grow." It's so
well,
I don't believe that.
They always told me Turner Communications Group, and the station in Charlotte, WRET, Robert E. Turner was his initials. That's where those call letters came from. And we shared programming with them. In other words, we bicycled shows between the two stations. But Atlanta, we kept everything in the library here, but we would share shows with them, and we used to ship stuff to them, tapes and films to them to run, and then they'd send them back.
We got a question for you, Al. So which came first? And I know the answer, but I just want to hear what you say about this, and you'll know too. Which came first, WTCG, the superstation beamed across the world and across the country on cable and on satellite, or WGN Chicago or WR New York, which were similar nationally broadcast cable networks that were local stations? I think Ted Turner
Ted was the first
that.
person to do that.
Correct.
He was the very first.
I just want to make sure that I'm correct in that. But I always liked 17 much better than WGN Chicago. I mean, but GN was kind of a ripoff. They would have the Cubs games. Channel 17 had the Braves games. In fact, Ted Turner...
But Ted bought the Braves.
In 1976, and the Atlanta Hawks basketball team.
And he also bought the... Yeah, you're right, the Hawks. And he carried all the Braves games, and when he bought them, and then he would rerun the games in the overnight hours, just in case people on the West Coast didn't see it because they were 3 hours behind us.
Yeah, at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, that's where the Braves played in downtown Atlanta back in those days. Before it was Turner Field, named after Ted Turner.
Well, Turner Field came about after the Olympics were here.
That's right, because that stadium was built for the 1996
Olympics.
Atlanta
And then
Olympics.
when the Olympics went away, they changed it to Turner Field. And now Turner Field is no more. It's owned by Georgia Tech. You know, the ballpark.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech bought it. But, you know, and then the Braves moved out to
Cobb County, Georgia.
Where you live.
Yeah, and it was named SunTrust Park, and now they've renamed it Truist Park because of a bank merger with BB&T and SunTrust. It's a terrible name.
Suck? That's terrible.
TRUIST, and the logo looks like trash. It's a terrible
They should have
logo.
just kept SunTrust. But, you know, they go after the money, sponsorship. That's what they do. It's like, you can't blame them. It's all about money anyway.
No, absolutely. So, all right, so 17, I don't want to go on and on about it, but they just had the best programming, the best classic movies, the best cartoons, the best syndicated television shows of all time. Eventually, as Turner grew, he launched another network, TNT.
The first movie they ran on TNT was Gone with the Wind, because that's Ted's favorite movie. I remember when I was a switcher there, I was working one morning. I went in at 7 in the morning, and so Gene Wright was engineer. Bless his heart, he's passed away now. But anyway, he came down with a film print of Gone with the Wind, in 16 millimeter. And he says, "Can you transfer this to VHS tape for Ted?" And they had a VHS recorder pipe, hooked up to the projectors. And I said, "Sure." So while we were running stuff on the air, on the audition side of it, we were running on the other projectors, Gone with the Wind, and we transferred it to videotape for him because and then we transferred and sent the print back. But that's his favorite movie.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Cool.
and in fact, he's got a son named Rhett Turner after Rhett Butler from Gone with the Wind. And if you notice, Ted Turner has the little mustache like Clark Gable, like Clark Gable. That's his all-time favorite movie. Anyway, and then that led to him buying MGM. Remember, he bought MGM in
MGM library.
He bought him in '86, I do believe. I think it was. He bought the library, and he needed that for programming.
And he would run Outer Limits from that library. He would run Chips episodes on TNT.
Well, anything
TBS,
produced, owned by
MGM.
MGM, he owned.
Right.
And we ran Gilligan's Island. Did we run Chips? I don't think we did.
They did on TBS and TNT in the early 90s.
I just don't remember.
It was in the early 1990s to like 93
right.
or
So he bought the library to get programming. And so that created Turner Entertainment Company out in Culver City. And so... But he owned that for a long time, and it also, Ted Turner also down at CNN Center, where CNN ended up being. Remember, there was a movie theater down there, 6 cinemas down there.
I think it's still there, is it not?
No, they tore them out a long time ago.
Oh,
and Ted controlled the theaters, but they were owned by United Artists. But anyway, one of the theaters there ran Gone with the Wind constantly, every day, 7 days a week, you know.
I remember that.
They ran it twice a day, and they ran that down there for as long as he owned the theater.
And they had that little gift shop too, with all the Gone with the Wind memorabilia.
Well, it was called the Turner. It was the
stuff.
Turner store.
The Turner store.
And I've got a lot of memorabilia from the Turner store.
Now, CNN. Quickly, let's talk about the launch. We didn't mean to just glaze over that. In 1980, when CNN started, do you have any memories about that? Were you mentioned you're in a YouTube video?
Well, yeah,
that's out there.
You know, to make a, you know, we were located on West Peachtree Street, downtown Atlanta, and then across the freeway was an old, what do you call it? It was like a convention type place. It was a big house. And it was a sort of, anyway, the place had been abandoned for years. You know, they had homeless people living in it. Anyway, he bought it and refitted it out and cleaned it up. That was at 1050 Techwood Drive. And so we moved Channel 17 over there, and then CNN was launched, and they were downstairs. We were upstairs, and downstairs was CNN and TNT. And so I got to know all the CNN people. That's back when CNN was a really good network. They were the only game in town.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't have Fox News.
The first
you didn't have
news.
Yeah,
24 hours a day, 7 days.
And so, and it was fun. You know, there's a lot of good people that worked
good journalism. They brought on Larry King.
Oh, Larry King.
Larry King Live. I enjoyed that.
And so, and next to CNN downstairs was a place where we eat. We called it the side dish. And, you know, it was really a nice area with a big atrium and big glass windows, and you could actually see inside.
What does that mean, the side dish?
It was the name of the place where we eat. Just like,
I understand,
like in Cumulus, it was a rising roll.
It's kind of an unusual name, like side dish.
Well, they sent out it says, let's name it. So that's the name everybody came up with. They call it the side dish because it was on the side of the building, and and then you had CNN, and then on the other side you had headline news.
Oh, duh, like a side of bacon, a side dish.
Right, it's a side dish. And I used to sit with all the CNN people down. I used to eat lunch there every day.
The anchors?
Oh, the anchors. I know all the anchors, yeah. Yeah, and so Bobby Batista and all these, you know, all of these early people that were there.
My favorite CNN anchor, she's actually on Headline News, is Robin Meade, and she still looks absolutely gorgeous. I don't know, but last time I watched CNN Headline News, she would do.
I had a really good friend that worked at Headline News. In fact, he was the last one to leave there, Chuck Roberts.
And he was at News Radio at our radio station.
Yeah,
in
and
Atlanta.
Chuck Roberts, he worked at Headline News forever.
Yeah,
I mean, he was one of the first ones, and he was there until, you know, some years ago, and then he came to work for 106.7 News Radio back then that Chance and I was at. But you know, Chuck Roberts is a great guy. But yeah, I knew all those people. It was fun.
You know, they did a funny parody of the launch of CNN in the movie Anchorman 2. They called it GNN. And
oh, of course they do.
You know, with the big hair and Ron Burgundy. I worked on that set just as an extra for like 14 days as one of the news people, but not a principal role, really. Nothing to write home about, but it was a heck of a lot of fun being on the set with all.
Well, like I said, you know, working at Turner was the best job
I
I ever had. I really enjoyed myself, and the only reason I left is because when Ted, he thought he was merging with Time Warner, and
he got screwed.
He got screwed. He had 10% of the merged company, and then it went down to 3%, and then basically the stockholders booted him out, and so when he got booted out. I lasted maybe another 6 months, and then I got booted out, and so did a lot of other people. They got rid of some of the old hires there, and I was there 13 years, so I really enjoyed myself there for 13 years.
But now there were other networks that they launched over the years at Turner when Ted Turner was still in charge, like Turner South. Remember Turner South?
Yeah, the sports network.
And but I thought they had, before that, there was Turner South and then Sports South, but Turner South actually had regular non-sports
Turner South,
programming.
I do believe, and Tom would know this, I think they turned into Sports South.
Yes, they did. Sports South, that's correct.
And I think now Fox bought them after that. I think
Fox Sports.
Fox Sports owns it now. But this happened way after I left, but then they launched Turner Classic Movies.
Love it.
And I wish they'd had that when I worked there, but they launched that after I left.
And Tom Williams worked there, our own Tom Williams.
Yeah,
he interviewed Robert Mitchell, or he directed the interview.
He directed a lot of the interviews that Robert Osborne did at Turner Classic.
I loved him. He wrote for the National Enquirer of all things.
Robert Osborne I met many times because I collect projectors and stuff. They actually borrowed one of my old projectors from the 30s to do a promo with Robert Osborne. And for years, I used to see this promo with my projector with Robert Osborne. He was sitting there watching a reel of film, of course, and then they had the image up on the screen. But I watched them do that. But he was a good friend. He turned out to be a good friend, and it was really nice. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, those are Tom's stories to tell. I can't wait for him to call in and tell us about all those great interviews, or at least give us some sort of perspective on that. But Turner, he really made a difference. He gave like $1 billion to the UN. He had a global initiative. Now some say he's a globalist or whatever, but I think the man is a genius, and I wish him continued good health and success, because he brought me a lot of happiness growing up, watching WTCG, WTBS, the Superstation, watching The Space Giants, a Japanese show shot in 1966, Magma Tashi's the original name. Anyway, I'm putting everyone to sleep. I love the show. I have all 52 episodes. I wish I bought your films when you had them on film, Al.
I had so many films, but I just had to get.
Like Godzilla.
It was just taking up too much space. I mean, my basement, you couldn't even walk down there, so I just had to get rid of a lot of
And
that
you
stuff.
had lost English tracks because they've lost. The distributor at the time was Lakeside Entertainment, and they folded. They were out in New York City.
Yeah.
And so no one can find the full English translations. All that survive are like Betamax tapes of the old WTCG TBS recordings from 1979 to 1981. That's all
Well,
exists.
some of that
Someone
stuff is
done
still
it.
around. Some of that stuff is still around. People have it.
I've been
I
looking
guess.
for years on eBay. You never can find Space Giants. Someone's just sitting on that whole library, your library, that you sold to Tom Hudgens when he was still alive.
No, I didn't care for the show.
He passed away, right? Tom Hudgens, I know that. And so I wonder what happened to those films. Was he married or anything? Did he have a wife?
Yes, he was, but
She might have sold him.
He probably sold them. Who knows? But we're digressing.
We digress, like always. And hey, Turner, we got to talk about World Championship Wrestling. I love the wrestling they had on TBS.
They taped every Tuesday.
Yeah, and last time you told your story about he went into the locker room by mistake.
Now, let's
or
not go
something.
back there again.
But I liked Mr. Wrestling #2, Tommy Wildfire Rich, Andre the Giant, the Mad Dog. Oh man, Junkyard Dog. I keep saying
I
Mad
never
Dog.
was a
Junkyard
fan,
Dog.
but they were nice people. They really were. Gordon Soley and all. I mean, they were all
It's
nice
theatrics.
people. Yeah.
And Gordon Soley, who was the straight man, he was the reporter on the scene, doing the play-by-play, blow-by-blow accounts. And Bill Tush will talk about that. And of course, the Bill
I'll
Tush
be the
show.
first to say it's fake.
And they didn't have blood like Extreme Championship Wrestling, which came along later in the late 90s. Very brutal wrestling. I love, digressing again, but I love it when someone gets hit in the head with a guitar and this powder goes everywhere. And
That's true.
ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, did that. And those kind of graphics and effects and blood. And oh, man.
But I didn't care for it. I could hear them in there recording on Tuesday, but I just
I was a little kid. Little kids like me love
I just
that
went
stuff.
about my business. But they had an audience. They had they gave tickets away. You could show up and sit there.
I know. I always wanted to go and see a taping. And then Bill Tush himself, we'll ask him some questions later in the show about the Tush show. But I watch that every week. Funny comedy show. Jan Hooks was on it, and other talented people that went on to do other things in the entertainment industry. So it'll be great when we have Bill Tush here on the show, and we thank Bill for his time.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to him. We need to go see him. I hadn't seen him in a while. Since we stopped working, I just don't get up in that area of the country anymore. I never go downtown Atlanta anymore. Even though he's in Sandy Springs, which is right off, probably 10 miles from downtown. But
remember Captain Planet that Ted Turner launched?
I do.
To create awareness about the environment. Yeah, and hey, we got to talk about Cartoon Network. What a big acquisition that was, and a big launch.
Well, he bought Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
Yeah, he bought that.
And he colorized movies. We're sort of jumping around in the timeline.
Well, I was there when they launched Cartoon Network.
You were?
Yes, I was.
With the Space Ghost?
Yes, I was there.
They had like a dude in the Space Ghost outfit, an actor.
Oh,
because he's
I
a
don't
cartoon.
know. I mean,
anyway,
I don't know. I mean, I was just there when they launched it. You're asking me questions. I don't know. I did. I didn't care for Cartoon Network. I like cartoons, but I never really watched it. They were downstairs next to CNN, but I just never paid much attention to it.
I liked it because we're different generations, but they would play the Super Friends reruns that I liked a lot. That's the DC characters, Batman, Superman, the Hall of Justice.
And of course,
the Wonder
later on,
Twins.
they launched Adult Swim.
Yes, Adult Swim, and that's to this day big hits, big ratings.
Yeah, I could watch that probably.
A lot of viral stuff coming out of Cartoon Network these days in Adult Swim. But I loved watching the old Super Friends, Wonder Twin powers, activate, form of an icicle, shape of a clown.
You know, I had friends, of course, I knew the guy that ran Cartoon Network, but I've got a bunch of DVDs in there that he gave me years ago. I went to see him it's been 10 years ago. I went up there to see everybody. And he gave me, I got box sets of the Squidbillies and all this other stuff that, that Adult Swim does. I've never looked at them.
By the way,
I'll trade them to you for something.
Let's do it. I've got a lot of collectibles I can trade you.
I've never looked at them.
Speaking of equipment and stuff, folks, Al, I won't go into details, but Al has upgraded this studio, his home studio. It's going to be incredible. We probably
haven't upgraded it yet.
We're probably not going to do a show next week.
If things go well, I'm going to, everything that you see here is coming out. I'm redoing it, and I bought some new equipment. I got a deal on. I got a new digital console coming and some other things. So my engineer buddy's going to come, excuse me, next weekend.
But what's cool is you're going to be able to have 5 microphones hooked up to your board, and you can take phone calls through the landline like a real radio station.
Well,
it's cool.
We won't go into all of that, but we'll do it. So anyway, that'll happen next weekend. Well, last weekend of the month, so we'll see.
Well, if you guys want to call in and talk about your memories of Ted Turner,
we're not taking calls today.
Well,
remember, we're not taking calls today.
Oh, never mind.
You just jumping all over the place.
I wanted to do music part 2, but then when I realized this is our 17th show, I thought in honor of Superstation 17, let's talk about Ted Turner a little bit. Now, you got to have some memories about Ted himself. Did you meet him? Was there like a company function, like a team building event, or
many times?
Anything stick out in your mind?
When I was a switcher, working in the mornings, running the show, he would come down. He had his own apartment there on West Peachtree Street. A lot of times he'd spend the night. But I remember a few times, he came down one morning and he had his bathrobe on and a cup of coffee. And he sat there with me, and I worked with a guy named John. And so he sat there with me and John and watched us do our thing. He says, "All right, fellas, talk to you later." And he went back upstairs and got dressed. But,
he's just one of the guys.
Oh, yeah, he was. That was in the early days, way before CNN and stuff. But, no, even after all of that, I'd see him all the time.
It's funny. He had a nice accent. He was born in Ohio, though, but he lived in the South. I think he was raised in the South. So he developed a pretty cool Southern accent.
And after he married Jane Fonda, I used to see Jane Fonda all the time.
Yeah,
boy. But she was always nice to me. We won't go into all of that.
We've talked about it before.
Yeah, she made some mistakes, but she was always very nice to me. I can't say anything bad about her, I guess.
You told a funny story once, I think offline, about how you wanted her autograph. And she goes, "It's not Barbarella, is it? Tell me."
Well,
it's not
no. I asked her one day. I saw her and I said, "I have a poster. I'd like to have you autograph for me." She said, "Sure." She says, "As long as it's not Barbarella." And I said, "Well, I love that movie Barbarella, but she's not very fond of it anymore." And so, but I didn't take her. I have that poster, like I mentioned before, but I took her another poster called "Comes a Horseman." She did with Jason Robards, because I like westerns, and she signed that for me. I'll show it to you. I've never showed it to you, have it? It's in the other room in there. But anyway, like I said, she was very nice to me.
One thing that Turner did, I was talking to our friend Ryan, who's a contributor of the show, and he reminded me about the 5 minutes after the hour. What a brilliant programming move that was.
Well, he didn't start that originally. I mean, he did, but in the beginning it was everything was on the hour.
Like 7:05, 7:35.
Well, no, he would start everything on the hour. And then later on, he decided, since everybody else was starting on the hour, he would start 5 past the hour to give people that didn't want to watch whatever they were watching to go to Channel 17 and catch his show from the beginning. So that was the reasoning behind that.
That's smart. It's counter-programming.
We called it Turner Time.
Turner Time.
Yeah, Turner Time.
And you got all sorts of cool stuff here, like coffee mugs. I mean,
I got a lot of stuff from
signs.
Turner. I've got, and Tom,
and
my
so
friend,
I was just going to say,
Tom's got a ton of stuff from Turner.
He has a big Cartoon Network sign.
Yeah, I tried to talk him out of that, and he won't give it to me.
It's got like the checkered flag logo.
Yeah. He's got a lot of good Turner stuff, but he won't give it to me. I don't blame him. I wouldn't give it to him, give it away either. So there you go. You know, so. But we had a good time. You know, it was fun.
I bet it was.
It's hard to believe I've been gone almost 30 years from that place.
Well, in a little while, Tom will call in. He's working
I don't
at the
know.
Weather Channel
you better
today.
call in. Hey, Tom, call in if you're going to call in. He's working at the Weather Channel. So.
Well, I'll tell you what. While we wait for Tom, why don't you play our interview with our special guest, Mr. Bill Tush?
Well, we can do that.
And don't you have a musical interlude that should strike people's memories? You don't have to play it now unless you want to put it in post, but there's a piece of music.
Well, it's Turner created a cool logo. We called it the cigar logo, and had a great theme. And when he bought the MGM library, they always put that logo before the MGM lion. In any Turner product, you saw this logo, and this was the music. I'll play it for you here. Hang on a second.
And that logo is still seen to this day on MeTV's reruns of the Flintstones that they got from Ted Turner and Cartoon Network.
Yeah, here it is.
Very nice, sir. Now, there is one more thing I want to talk about. It pertains to last week's show and something that's pretty cool that I spotted on the Conan O'Brien show. But one more thing, not the Conan O'Brien clip. Do you have our One More Thing music, Al Hardy?
One more thing.
One more thing. It's right there on your screen. I'll give you a second.
Let me see. Yeah, I do have it, don't I? Huh?
From the top, please.
That's all right.
No, from the top. You missed it.
You're
It
hard
was
to
a
get
little
along.
late.
You're hard to get along with. All right, take it
Thank
away.
you, Al. So what happened was, as you know, most of these pod blasts are opened by our friend Al Hardy, and he says, "Hey guys, you know what time it is? It's pod blast time." And we all say, "It's pod blast time." Well, I was watching Conan O'Brien. One of his writers must listen to this very pod blast, because check this out from Thursday night.
Andy, you really don't know anything about sports, do you? Not at all, Conan. Then you know what time it is. I sure do. That's right. It's time for Andy Richter's Sports Blast. Welcome to Sports Blast. Let's blast some sports. Sports.
Can you believe that?
I am flattered. See, look, we helped a writer put some extra money in their pocket. We helped them get an extra tank of gas or whatever they get paid for their Lamborghini. So that was pretty cool. I was
What happened? What happened to your mic?
I don't know. Oh, it fell down.
Oh, there you go.
How's that?
Now I can hear you.
Oh, geez, I was off mic that whole time. Anyway, that aired on Thursday, January 16th on, of all things, TBS. So see how we're going full circle? That airs on TBS. But Turner, not to be a little sad and depressing, but as we all know, Ted made a terrible deal with that AOL Time Warner merger, and Al spoke to that briefly previously in this very pod blast. But he lost ownership. It cost him ownership of the Atlanta Braves, the Atlanta Hawks, all of those assets, the MGM library. He put all of his eggs in one basket, didn't he, Al?
But you know, my mic is messed up. I got to get this. I'll be glad when I get some new equipment in here. That's all I got to say. Anyway, let's go talk to Bill Tush. Well, it's a pleasure to welcome my longtime friend, Bill Tush, from Turner. We worked together at Channel 17. Of course, Bill went on to CNN and stuff, and Bill's on the phone. Bill, how you doing, pal?
Just fine, Al. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while, and
we were mere children when we met.
I started working at Channel 17 in 1977. That's a long time ago.
I was there for 3 years when you got there.
I know. Did you know? I'll tell you this. When I remember, I worked in the film department. Alice Airth was there, and all those guys. But anyway, you had an office and like an audio booth. You know.
It actually was supposed to be an audio booth, but like a lot of things back in the early days of TBS, which at that time was Channel 17, you know, we would decide to do one thing, and Ted Turner, the owner, would agree to it, and then a week later he'd change his mind. And so that's what happened to that being an audio booth. It was supposed to have equipment in it and everything else for announcers to, do the station breaks and whatever. And for some reason, the funding got shut off, so it was just an empty room with acoustic tile on the wall.
I remember it well.
And I said, well, you know what? I'll just put my junk in there, and that was my office.
And I remember,
I was going to say, in 30 years with that company, in 30 years, and I'm talking Atlanta, L.A., and New York, I never had an office to myself.
Really?
Oh, no.
But I remember when I got a job there, I walked in off the street. My parents moved to Atlanta.
So did I.
My parents moved here, and I was still in North Carolina where I grew up. And so I came down to visit, and I didn't have a job, so I just walked into the studios on West Peachtree Street and applied for a job. And they said, when can you start? And I swear to God, that is the truth. And so...
No, I mean, that's what I did. I walked in there with an audio tape. Back in those days, it was a reel-to-reel demo tape.
Right.
And I walked in and I said, I'd like to find, who do I talk to for a job as an announcer? And one person led me to another person, and they said, the man we had here quit yesterday. Oh. And, and they said, we need somebody. And they listened to the tape. They says, okay, can you come in 1 hour a day? We'll pay you $50 a week to be the announcer.
Beautiful. Hey, Bill, this is Chance Bartels, one of the co-hosts of the show. Of course, we know each other, but didn't you get your start? You're from Pittsburgh originally, is that correct?
Right. Many years, over 50 years ago, yeah.
Just like Mr. Rogers.
I've been gone a long time. I guess I could say that's where I was from, but I mean, it's like a distant memory.
I remember watching your Tush show. How did that come about over at WTCG, WTBS? I love the Tush show.
The same way as the audio booth.
Well, the before the Tush show, though, we go back a long time. Bill did the early morning news update.
Right.
And
that's see, that was another thing. Okay, I'll give you a quick background on that. We used to, in those days, the only news we had on the air was at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was on an audio tape that I recorded, and there was a slide people saw on their television that said news. And for 20 minutes every night, they heard me read the news, never saw anybody, but just saw this slide.
Right.
Well, Ted saw it one day, and he came in and said, is there anybody that can sit in front of the camera and read the news? And they said to me, do you want to do it? I said, yeah, I'll do it. So that's how my TV career began.
Well, in the early days, though, Ted didn't like the news. I don't think he cared for the news.
It wasn't he didn't like it. It was the fact that we couldn't afford it.
Oh, okay.
And two things. One, it was too expensive to do. In those days, even now, I mean, forget about it. You have to, hire a staff. You have to have news writers. And of course, news crews. And in those days, it was all on film, so you had to have a whole processing lab in your station. You had to have editing for it. I mean, it was a gazillion-dollar operation to do a newscast.
Right.
So that was the main reason we didn't do it. It wasn't he didn't like news. Secondly, we became the alternative for people that didn't want to watch news. I mean, they came to us to see I Love Lucy and the Beverly Hillbillies and all those shows. And that was why our news commitment that we had agreed to do, public affairs commitment, was at 3 o'clock in the morning. So that's why it was at 3 in the morning, and it was a throwaway. And when I started doing it on camera, it was still a throwaway. But we did it seriously, thinking we were the news guys. And then one day, one thing silly happened, and then another silly thing happened, and we realized we were thinking to ourselves, it's at 3 o'clock in the morning, nobody's watching. So we just had fun with it.
Well, how did the dog come about?
Oh, that was, I mean, the dog, to this day I'm amazed by this dog story. The dog was like any of the other one-time bits that we did. We were always looking for something to do on the air.
Right.
Crazy, silly, whatever. And earlier that day I was in the art department, and they had a book of photographs, and I don't know what the reason for the book was, but there was a picture of a dog with a shirt and tie on. And I said, wouldn't that be funny if we did the news with a dog with a shirt and tie? And a guy in in the art department, one of the artists, Gary Donatelli. He says, my friend has a dog, a German Shepherd. I said, well, bring it in tonight. We'll dress it up and we'll do the news with it. And that's what we did. It was one night. It was one night. And it was also before we were on satellite. It was also before everybody watched it, or knew about the early morning news. Okay, to this day, I was in Nigeria a couple years ago for something, and some people there asked me about the dog.
I remember the dog well.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. You say you remember the dog well. Everybody I've ever talked to in my life saw it the night I did the news with the dog. I don't know how.
The highest
there were
rated
only
show.
13 people watching.
Well, I can't remember, how did Tina Selden come around? I mean, she got a job at the station, didn't she?
Well,
I think.
Somehow I got it on. I was working 5 days a week doing the news. I was coming in, at 8 in the morning doing stuff all day long. Then I would come back at 11 o'clock at night and do a 2-minute newscast live. And then we would record the early morning newscast, the comedy show, whatever it was called. And what happened was I decided, I said, I need a break here. I got to have one day off a week, quit these split shifts here 5 days in a row. And I had been doing it for like 4 years. And so I somehow I got this tape from this lady, Tina, and I watched it. And on the tape, there was a bit of her falling down. I think she fell out of a tree or she did something, but it was meant to be funny, and it was funny. I said, that's what we need. So we hired Tina.
Oh, she was funny as crap too with you guys.
And it was just one of those lucky things. And Tina, I mean, everybody remembers Tina. It's amazing when people ask me about the early morning news. They ask about Tina.
I remember there was.
She's in Charlotte now. She's the what do you call it? The lottery girl on TV that comes on at the end of the news. And
she plays with the balls.
I didn't want to say that.
All right.
Well, Chance did, yeah.
How did Jan Hooks get involved with your show, the Tush Show, before Saturday Night Live?
There was questions I want to ask about the other before we go to the Tush Show. There's a lot of stuff that happened way before the Tush Show. And I remember one night on the early morning news that you pulled the chair out from under Tina and she fell.
Well,
I don't know.
Because and the reason why is because that was on her demo tape, and we decided to do it on the show. And to me, that was that was one of the funniest bits we ever did.
It was great.
And it's out there on YouTube, by the way.
I mean, come on, let's face it. Wouldn't everybody back in those days would have loved to see John Pruitt pull Monica Kaufman's chair?
That's right. Well, I remember, I think you recorded it like at 4 in the afternoon because I would go in there from the film department and watch you guys. And then not long after that was going, that Jesse Waller, who worked in the I guess art department or whatever, promotions department.
He was in the promotion department.
Brother Gold came around, and everybody loved Brother Gold. Yeah.
Well, Brother Gold was another thing that it was a takeoff of what television stations used to do in those days when they would sign off at 1 in the morning.
Right.
They would play sermonette. A local minister or priest or rabbi, whatever, would come on and do a little prayer for a minute. Then they would do the national anthem, and then the station would sign off. So I came up with Brother Gold, which is what we named him, and it was just called Reflections, because Reflections is like a generic term. It could be anything,
I remember it's like before Deep Thoughts with Jack Candy. It's like the precursor to that.
I remember going and watching, them tape Jesse and Brother Gold, and everybody would crack up so much. I remember one time they told me to leave because they couldn't finish the show because I was laughing so hard. So I just,
I mean, that was the reason we did it, was to make people laugh.
But it was funny. I just, he was a great guy too. So.
Yeah, but I'll tell you how it came. For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, Brother Gold was a guy that came on and dressed in a robe, and he looked like a religious person, and we had it all lit like a religious.
He did. It had the nice music.
Scrim in the background. It looked like a stained glass window and that. And Jesse would come out and read song lyrics current tunes, and the one that probably the most well remembered is "Do You Think I'm Sexy" by Rod Stewart.
Oh, that was hilarious. And he had these gold chains, but the gold chains he had pulled
Well, he
against this.
He made all that up himself. He found he had all that.
Instead of the gold chains hanging in front, they were hanging behind him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they were. That's right.
They were hanging behind him. But Do You Think I'm Sexy? That was, I remember watching the tape. That it's great. You know, television back then was so much fun. I mean, I worked in TV in North Carolina before I went to 17, and there was an NBC affiliate, but it was just, I worked in the film room there, and I was a switcher. I worked in the mornings. And so, but coming to work at 17, it was really probably the best job I ever had. I had a good time there.
It was mine too. It was everybody's. I mean, it was.
I looked forward to going to work every day. I just looked forward to being there.
What I was going to say is, there was an atmosphere there I never felt like anywhere else.
That's true.
There was a group of people. It was just fun, and it seemed like everybody was just having fun.
They're having fun. It was great.
And we were doing, but everybody was working.
Yeah.
And I think most of it came from Ted, because he kind of just made you want to do this stuff, and he let you go with it. I heard him a few years ago. I was with him at some function, and people were interviewing him, asking him questions, and somebody said, "How did you know how to hire the right people?" Because this thing, it seemed like he always got the right person for the right job. And he said, and I swear this is the best line I've ever heard to describe everything. He said, "We just gave him a gun and said, start shooting." And that sums it all up, because you were allowed to do anything you wanted to do as long as it was working. People liked it. If people would have protested the early morning news and said you can't do that on the news, it would have probably been pulled off.
So it was
Instead, it caught on, and then we went on satellite. It got bigger and bigger, And granted, it wasn't Saturday Night Live, but it did have quite an audience around the country.
Oh, I loved it. I mean, I was in heaven because I was a film buff and film collector, and then and back in those days, they libraried all their films. Most of them were just kept there at the TV station, and I would just I would take prints home on the weekends and run movies. I was in heaven. I had it all.
Well, you're not supposed to admit that, Al. That was against the law. That was illegal.
I know.
I'm having you arrested. I'm getting on the other phone and calling the cops.
I remember going to your house one time when you were married to Cora.
Don't suddenly start getting me into this crime.
Oh, come on!
I don't have anything to do with it.
I remember going to your house, and you had a 16mm projector upstairs. I remember going over there and seeing it. It was fun. It was fun,
But I didn't have any films from work.
No, well, I didn't do that all the time, but they didn't care. I mean, I asked Alice Erith, and she said, "I don't care. Take what you want to look at and bring it back."
Oh, now you got her in trouble. Jeez, I'm hanging up here. You got everybody in trouble.
But like I said, it was the best job I think I've ever had, and I only left there when Ted sold out to Time Warner, and they booted me out of there. But I was there in the good days, so I had a really good time there.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill.
Okay.
Did you get along with the wrestlers, Gordon Soley?
Thank you for being on my show.
Yeah.
Bill, did you get along with Gordon Soley and all the wrestlers?
Oh no, Gordon and I got along great. I loved the wrestling show. That was one of my favorites. In fact, we did a bit one time, and this is funny because every year they do the Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
Right.
I remember.
Yeah.
All right. Long before I ever heard of Nathan's hot dog eating contest, or even maybe before they were doing it, I don't even know. We did a thing. We left the studio completely set up for wrestling. The mat, the stands, and Gordon's little desk and area. And I asked Gordon, and I asked all the fans to stay. Freddie Miller, the other announcers, stayed. In fact, everybody stayed. And we got 2 volunteers, and we had the great hamburger eating contest. And we had the two contestants in the ring, like wrestlers, with a table in front of them with like 30 hamburgers each on them.
Right.
And it was like, who could eat the most hamburgers? And Gordon sat there and announced it like he was announcing a wrestling match. And I mean, he used every cliche in the world to describe them eating these hamburgers. And I mean, it was priceless because it was just like a wrestling show. And I mean, Gordon had a great sense of humor. He was a great guy.
He was. I didn't really work with him that much, but I would talk to him and see him in the hallways, and he was very, very kind, very courteous. Great.
I'll tell you a wrestling story. One time, they used to come in on Tuesday, all the wrestlers, to do their interviews that they would insert into the show on Saturdays. So all the wrestlers would be together in the studio. This one day, they were doing the interviews, and the champion of the week, whoever it was, is up there on camera with, I think, Freddie Miller, and he's holding his belt, and he's screaming, "This is what it's all about. When you wrestle, this is what you want. You want the championship belt. I'm the champion. I own the belt." He's going on and on about this belt for 20 minutes. Okay? He gets done with the interview, and they wrap up the shoot for the day, and everybody's leaving the studio, and I look, and in the corner on a chair is the belt. And I yelled to the guy, I yelled to the wrestler, the champ, "Hey, you forgot your belt." I mean, this is the thing he was talking to. It was the greatest thing that you worked for in wrestling, and he left it in the studio.
Man, I love all those guys. Tommy Wildfire Rich, Mr. Wrestling number 2, Mad Dog, all those characters.
Wrestling 2 and I were buddies. I mean, we would sit around and talk about cars all the time.
Was he an ugly guy?
And I never saw him without his mask.
I was going to say, what did he look like? He must have been butt ugly to wear that mask all the time. That was a great character.
I don't think he was a heck of a nice guy. He was married with kids, and I think that's the reason. His kids went to school in Atlanta. He lived in Atlanta. He didn't want everybody to say, "Oh, yeah, you're the wrestler." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or the unknown comic, as it were, on the Gong Show.
Well,
but
the unknown comic had a bag. At least he had a professional mask.
Right on.
I've always wondered, where do you get those masks?
eBay, like everything
where
else.
do they
Amazon.
sell them?
Yeah.
Well, Amazon wasn't around in those
True.
days.
Very true. Well, man, this is just such a pleasure to talk with you about the. Do you mind talking about how did Jan Hooks become a part of your show? The great Jan Hooks, the late great Jan Hooks.
That was when, in 1980 we started. Well, actually in '79, when we were starting CNN, Ted wanted TBS to do more production, and he had the idea that I could do a show, and the show was going to be, as Ted put it. It was going to be singing, comedy, dancing, wrestling, everything. It was going to be a whole variety show. Well, it didn't turn out that way. It turned out to be a comedy show, sketch comedy show.
I loved the show.
Well, thank you. We were putting together people. We were, God knows, we didn't know how to do this. We had no clue what we were doing. And we came across a group that was performing at a dinner theater in Atlanta called the Midnight Sun Dinner Theater downtown. And it was Bonnie and Terry Turner, husband and wife, and this young girl, Jan Hooks. Well, we heard that they were pretty funny and pretty talented. They were doing sketches, blah, blah, blah. We went and saw them one night and then brought them in to work on the show. Jan was just this young girl, 22 or whatever she was then, who was going to be on the show as one of the characters. Well, she was the standout of the entire. I mean, there's nobody who will ever dispute Jan's talent. I mean, she was incredible.
And she's beautiful, too. She was so beautiful.
She was beautiful and talent. I mean, she had it all.
Oh, she was very talented.
That's why she ended up doing Saturday Night Live and Designing Women and all these other movies and stuff like that. She went, and it didn't happen for her overnight. I mean, we were in L.A., living in L.A. for a couple of years before things started rolling for her. She did a couple of really obscure things. You probably, one was Dick Clark's half-hour comedy hour. She did that, and if I recall, some of the other people on that with her was Denzel Washington, Fran Drescher. I think Jerry Seinfeld was involved in it. I can't know who, but a lot of people that went on to be really big were involved in that Dick Clark show. And but she did that, and then of course she did, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which was, an independent movie. I mean, shot on a shoestring budget, became a cult classic.
Absolutely.
And Jan's, famous line, "There's no basement in the Alamo." I mean, that's, it's right up there with. I can't think of anything.
Well, she also did a movie with Goldie Hawn called Private Benjamin.
Yeah, right. No, she didn't do Private Benjamin. She did
Was it a Private Benjamin?
movie where Goldie Hawn was married to a football coach or something. I forget what it was called. It wasn't Private Benjamin.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Private Benjamin.
No.
Oh, but no, she's very
I
talented.
forget the name of the movie, but she did 3 or 4 movies. She did a Batman movie.
That's right. I think she was. Was she in the first one? I don't know. I can't.
I don't know which one, but it was the one Tim Burton directed, I think.
Yeah, that was the first one, wasn't it, Chance?
He did the first 2. That's correct. And Batman Returns in 1992.
I'm sorry. I love Jan to death. She was my best pal in the world, but I don't remember the Batman movies.
It's all good.
I never saw them.
Well, the first one was who played Batman? It was
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton, yeah, he was okay.
Okay, once again, thank you for being on my show.
So I remember during the Tush show, one of the people that I saw in the hallway you had on your show was Burt Reynolds, and he was really a perfect gentleman. He was really nice. I talked to him for a long time. He was just standing in the hallway outside of the studio, and the film department was across from Studio
Well,
C.
he stood out there for about 3 hours, so we finally let him on the show. I said, "Why don't you go do something?" I said, "For God's sakes, can't you see we're involved in very funny comedy sketches here?" And he said, "Give me a shot. Just let me come on for a minute." I said, "All right, you can come on."
But I did like it when CNN finally went on the air and they were downstairs, because they always had people from the movies and television on a show with Don Farmer and Chris Curl. I forget what they called it around noontime.
Ham and cheese.
Ham and cheese, that's right. But I remember somebody came up and they said, "Clint Eastwood's downstairs." And so I just I stopped what I was doing, went downstairs and met Clint Eastwood. That was great. It was fun working there. You saw all kinds of people, And another.
Well,
go ahead.
I was gonna say is when Burt Reynolds was on our show, seriously, we knew he was going to be on the show. He was at the height of his stardom.
Right.
He was in Atlanta doing Sharky's Machine. I mean, he was a major star at the time.
He was.
And they had to sneak him into the studio and everything else. But we couldn't figure out how we're going to fit him into the show. So what we were talking to him, and he says, "Well, why don't I come on and say I don't want to be on the show?" And we said, "Okay." So the show opens, the theme song plays, and I walk out on the set with Burt Reynolds, and I'm talking to him, and I said to him, "It'd be so great if you could be on the show. I mean, you're a major star." And he's going, "Bill, I don't want to be on your show. I have no reason to be on your show. I don't want to do it."
Kind of like how you feel about being on our show today, but I digress.
Well, I'm going to just I'm going to pass that one by, because I'm happy to be here, especially when you send me all kind of money. But anyway, what we did from there, what Al mentioned, is about other stars coming in for other things. Well, we were finding people coming in to do interviews on CNN, plus there were a couple other people coming in to do John Houseman, Jacqueline Bissett.
Ooh, from the deep.
God, let me think who else was on it. Hall & Oates, the singers. Anyway, all these people happened to be the same week we were shooting the show that Burt Reynolds said he didn't want to be on, was the week that all these people were coming in. So we got them all to come on the show and say they didn't want to be on the show. So we have a 1-hour show filled with about 10 major stars, all saying they don't want to be on the show.
That's
pretty luckily brilliant or something.
And that footage survives. I've seen it on YouTube. People in our audience, that's what we call our audience, the audience, go to YouTube and look up Bill Tush, Burt Reynolds. It's right there. Great footage.
Really?
Yep.
I don't ever see YouTube.
You don't get residuals every time someone clicks it? What's up with that?
No, I don't know anything about that stuff. First of all, I mean, I hate to sound this way, but I can't watch any of that stuff.
Really?
I can't watch any of it. I just cringe when I see any of it. I'm talking all the way back to the early morning news. It's like I can't see that. I don't want to watch that stuff.
Interesting.
I just have no interest. I mean, I'll be on Facebook and I'll see something with my picture on it, or a clip that's like a freeze frame that I know if you hit the button it'll play.
I get that because I saw an interview one time with Tab Hunter, the actor, and later in life he said
As opposed to Tab Hunter, the gas station attendant?
Right, but he said he never ever. It got to a point in his life when he retired, he never watched any of his stuff. He said when it came on TV, like one of his movies on the Late Show, he said he would just turn it away.
Yeah.
He said he wanted nothing else to do with it.
Really?
Yeah, he cared about his horses, and that was it.
I don't know.
Anti-ego.
There are other people that can watch everything they do and watch it over and over and over again and just be mesmerized by themselves. I can't. I don't like to watch any of it.
Well, it's nice to know you're not a narcissist.
No, well, I may be that, but I just don't watch myself.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, you know what? I always love, and believe me, no, I'm a straight man. Not that there's anything wrong with the other side, but I loved your mustache. Just want to say your trademark mustache, which you don't have anymore. I love that. That look.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Well, if you look back into the 70s, in fact, people have said people have no clue of what I did, but have seen pictures of me. They'll say, "Oh, look, Will Ferrell's doing you." Because they see the anchor. But back then, everybody looked like that.
That's true.
Everybody. I saw a picture of Alex Trebek the other day from 1973 when he was doing a game show. He looked like Will Ferrell.
That is true. He did. You think about that.
It was everybody had those mustaches, and if I grew it back today, it would just come out gray. So forget about it.
I never thought about that. The anchor man. That was you.
No, it was every anchor man.
Yeah. Well, I think it was you.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Tribute to the great Bill Tush. What?
Oh, jeez, I'm hanging up on you guys.
Well, Bill, I mean, after you left Atlanta and you went to L.A. and you were out there for a couple of years, and then you became the entertainment person on CNN because I used to watch that all the time.
So did I.
And I remember watching you on the red carpet one time during the Academy Awards, and it was just like I know that guy.
I did the Academy Awards, the red carpet for 12 years, 13 years, something like that. All through the the 90s, all through the 90s, yeah. And I retired in 2002, and I think the last one I did was it must have been before 9/11, yeah, I guess it was, in 2000. But, back in those days, up until the end of the late 90s, it was pretty well professional, if I may say it that way.
Oh, it was great.
The red
I loved
carpet,
it.
the people on the red carpet were from professional news organizations or entertainment organizations or whatever. The last couple of years I did it, I would see people out there, dressed up as, something like from the Wizard of Oz or, what's the thing, the Alice in Wonderland, carrying around little tape recorders and everything else. They started to where it just started getting too goofy, and everybody on the red carpet doing the interviews wanted to be the star. So they were all going to ask the most ridiculous questions.
Ah.
You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
went from being a legit kind of thing, and
Joan Rivers and whatnot,
Well, she started it, but at least she, if you're the first one doing anything, you're the pioneer. Okay, she started it. So you look at her as still being a professional about it. Then it went downhill. Everybody wanted to be Joan Rivers.
She was so funny. At least she did it. Right.
Yeah.
But then you had celebrities wearing like meat dresses and all sorts of strange things to get attention. Like Lady Gaga.
I saw a picture of the two guys from, what was it, South Park that came in dresses. They were... And I have a picture of me with them from the year they did it, when they came in that way. And the funny thing about that is, and I've got a lot of, Dennis Rodman came one time with a top hat that was about 3 feet tall.
Oh, Jesus.
The hat.
Yeah.
The hat. And a cane and everything else. You know, and then you had the guys in the dresses.
Like
and then
Lincoln.
you had somebody else dressed up in some ridiculous. And the whole thing about it is, when you wear a costume to an event like that, especially an event that's 4 hours long, maybe 4 hours, maybe longer, and you're sitting in a theater, well, it's not funny anymore. The gag is done. Now you're an idiot sitting there in a dress or a 3-foot-tall top hat for 4 hours, and everybody's just looking at you going, okay, I've seen that jerk or whatever. You know?
Well, Bill,
So that's what I learned a long time ago, to have nothing but a black tuxedo and a regular tie, a black tie, and just dress very conservatively, because you don't have to stick out in the crowd, because once you stick out, after you're stuck, you're stuck.
Bill, I stalked your Facebook page. You have a great shot with Madonna on the red carpet.
That's an old picture.
She's one of the best performers. I've seen her in concert several times, and I just think she's great.
Of all the people that you have...
I like Madonna a lot. I've seen her.
She's a good actress. Of all the people, Bill, that you talk to a lot of celebrities. Is there anyone that stands out as your favorite or the best interview you think, and the worst?
What a great question, Al.
I mean, you know what? I mean, that's always a tough question. I never have an answer for
Yeah.
that. Because, you know, most of them, I mean, I would say 99, almost 100% of them are nice, because they know when they're talking to you, they have to be nice. They're doing the thing to promote something. So that's why they're nice.
Yeah, they're selling something.
I mean, they may be real son of a guns off camera, or if I were a TMZ guy, you know, who knows how they'd react to me. But when you're on there just asking fluffy questions or a fluffy piece, they're always nice.
Very good. Well, Bill, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate your time very much. We'll come see you soon. We're gonna come. We'll have lunch one day soon, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, come on over.
Yeah, well, I apologize when I come out, because since I quit working the 31st up there at Cumulus, I don't go anywhere really.
I'm the same way, Al.
I just stay home.
I mean, I'm here in the movie theater, and that's it.
Yeah, but listen, you're a good friend. I've known you a long time, and I really do appreciate you being here. And I'll make it up to see you real soon.
On that radio station, how you guys are doing over there?
Yeah. There's going to be a big announcement, and I'll give you a text or a phone call when I can talk about it.
Sounds good. Hey, I enjoyed this. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Bill. Talk to you soon. Okay, bye.
All right, talk to you later.
Okay, goodbye. All right, we're back after listening to Bill Tush and his great stories. He's a good friend, and I've known him a long time, since 1976. So we're old friends, and he still lives here, and it was good to talk to him today.
Absolutely. And we welcome him back anytime.
Well, what I'm going to do, I want to get him in the studio sometime once I get everything redone, and he's going to come pay us a visit. But we got to go pay him a visit and go watch a movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's actually working, because he loves movies like I do. He works at the Sandy Springs Cinema and Tap Room. That's, so
Tap House.
Chance and I used to go watch
the Tap House.
Tap House. We used to go watch movies there when we worked at the radio station. It's like a couple of blocks away, maybe half a mile. I don't know what it was, but we haven't been there since then.
And there's exciting stuff we can't really announce now, but Al and I will be working together in radio very soon. But
yeah, that'll be nice.
That's going to drop later on, so I don't want to let the cat out of the bag.
Well, so anyway, it was good to talk to Bill and good to have him here on the show.
Yeah, and Ted Turner, he really revolutionized not just television, but he made a difference. That man really made a difference. He put his money where his mouth is. And, he was coined the mouth of the South because of his controversial statements. I think he's an atheist, too, and he's a very unique person.
I would say that. I mean, you don't need to be talking about people's religion.
No,
I don't know that.
He talks about that himself. You go back and look at interviews on YouTube.
But, I just, I don't care.
It's just a trait.
Think about this. Here I am. I don't care what your political beliefs are. I don't care what your your sexual preference is. I don't care what religion you are.
Well, you make it sound like I was insulting him or something. I'm just
no, I didn't mean
I'm
to
just
say
describing
that.
the man. That's
I
all.
just, you know,
Like, I worship Ted Turner now.
People are people, and you know, so
So
let
why
them live
shouldn't
their
it be?
lives the way they want to live it. I don't care.
Well
it
said.
doesn't bother me one way or the other.
Very well said.
Yeah,
Very
so-
well said.
But anyway,
What is up with my mic today? It keeps like dropping down.
It keeps losing its heart on. Kind of like never mind.
What the hell?
I just like, you know.
Woo! Your mind's in the gutter, sir.
I'll have to adjust that. But anyway,
so no show next week, most likely. When we come back, that was then. That was back on January. That was Sunday, January the 19th, 2020, when that interview was conducted, when the house was literally burning down across the street from Al's home studio. Really appreciate you hanging with me. I know there's a lot of games on as we're live, and I've got to roll, and I will see you sooner than you think. I have a big show planned later on in the week. So have a good one. Have a great week. Thanks to Bill Tush.